Collective, welcome back to my channel. I am the Nosy Witch and this is my channel, Nosy Witch Tarot. This reading is titled, What About You Surprises People? What Leaves People Shook? So this reading will be exploring all the things about you that shock other people. So I suppose this could kind of be interpreted as like people's expectations, people's perception versus the reality of who you actually are, or just things that people might be shocked by when they learn more about you. It surprises them for whatever reason. This reading will cover all of that. So this could be in relation to, acquaintances that meet you, what they think about you, and what surprises them, once they learn more about you. That is really what this reading will be focused on predominantly. If that sounds like something you would be interested in, then please stick around and listen to the reading. For more information regarding what this reading will entail, then please check out the description below. However, as usual, we will be starting off by you choosing from one of these 4 piles. We have 4 mushrooms for you to choose from today, and there will be a few oracle cards to look at in each pile. The oracle card portion of the reading should represent the overarching energy. You can use this portion of the reading as a little bit of an energy check. We will then move on to the second portion of the reading, which will be your tarot reading, and that will be a little bit of a deeper dive. So if you think this is the kind of reading that you would enjoy, then please stick around, watch the video, regardless of whether you are new or whether you are coming back. I would love to have you here. With that said, if you like my videos, if you like these readings, and if you like this style of content, please hit the like button, please comment on the video, and if at all possible, please subscribe. That would all mean the absolute world to me, and I would appreciate it so much. I am so incredibly thankful to every single person who has liked any of my videos so far, every single person who has commented, given me feedback, and every single person who has subscribed. It all means such a lot to me, and I just really appreciate it so much. When I first started this channel, I did not expect to have coming up to 500 followers, so that is just absolutely brilliant. I'm really overwhelmed, and I just can't thank you enough, all the people who have supported me. Thank you for being here, and thank you for listening to my ramblings on YouTube. On that note, I do also just want to say that I am open to suggestions for video ideas going forward. I do have a list of video ideas that I am currently working through. However, I'm happy to take suggestions from subscribers, from people commenting. So if you really want to see me do something in regard to a particular reading style, then please let me know. I am more than happy to take the suggestion on board. Please also bear in mind that these are collective readings. Not every single detail is going to resonate for you, and that is more than okay. I wouldn't expect it to. If you are finding that absolutely nothing in the pile you have chosen resonates for you, then please feel free to go back and choose a different pile. If you are finding that none of the piles are resonating for you right now, that is also okay. We are extremely fortunate that there are plenty of other readers and plenty of other readings out there for us. I'm sure you will find one that resonates more with you and your story. If nothing is resonating, maybe this is not your reading right now. However, I do set the intention that all my readings will be timeless. So if you have found this reading, assume it is for you. If not, it might be for you in the future. You are welcome to come back and listen to this reading anytime. I would recommend you leaning into your intuition in order to help you choose a pile. If you are finding that for whatever reason you are disconnected from your intuition today, you are more than welcome to use a random number picker online in order to choose a pile for you. The worst that can happen is that it's not your pile and you go and choose a different pile. All of that is very much okay. You do not have to claim anything as your story if it isn't. So as I mentioned, we have 4 piles to choose from today. You will choose from one of these 4 piles. You can also choose more than one pile if you are drawn to more than one. I am about to go through each pile in just a moment, and we also have a mushroom stone for you to choose from. We have 4 mushroom stones. So over here we have pile 1 and the maroon mushroom. We have pile 1 and the maroon mushroom. Here we have pile 2 and the olive mushroom. We have pile 2 and the olive mushroom. Here we have pile 3 and the blue mushroom. We have pile 3 and the blue mushroom. And over here we have pile 4 and the pink mushroom. We have pile 4 and the pink mushroom. So once you have chosen which pile and which mushroom resonates with you, please feel free to go to the description box or the pinned comment below and click on the timestamp that corresponds to your chosen pile. This will take you to the start of your reading. All the tarot decks and all the oracle decks that I am going to use in this reading will be listed in the description below, so that if you want a particular deck for yourself, you should hopefully be able to get your hands on one. With that being said, without any further hesitation, let's get started with the reading. I really hope you enjoy this one. If you do, please let me know. Again, thank you so much for being here and enjoy the reading. Hi Power One Collective. If you chose this maroon mushroom and you chose pile 1, this will be your reading. This reading is all about how you shock and surprise people. What about you leaves people speechless? How do you leave people shook? For further details regarding what this reading will entail, please check out the description or the pinned comment below. You will be able to find all the details there. I'm not going to hesitate for too much longer. I want to get straight into the reading today. I do just want to take the opportunity to thank you so much for listening to my readings. Thank you so much for being here. If you like my style of content, if you like these readings, if you want to see more of them going forward, please like the video, please leave me a comment, and if that's all possible, please subscribe. All of that would mean the absolute world to me, and every single person who has liked so far, every single person who has commented, and every single person who has subbed, just know that I notice every single one of you. I really appreciate it, and I just can't thank you enough. It really does mean the world to me, and I'm just so happy you're here. With that said, if you have any suggestions for videos you would like to see going forward, please leave them below in the comments. I am more than happy to take your ideas into consideration. With that out of the way, let's get started and have a look at the cards we pulled for you, pile 1. Okay, so pile 1 and the maroon mushroom, we got Purification, card number 41. We got card number 38, Villain. You can always rewrite the story. And we have the Antelope and Wheat, Nourishment. Okay, so just a little side note, the numbers 41 or 38 could be significant to you in some way. This could relate to some kind of synchronicity, an age you are at, or something significant that happened at one of those ages or an upcoming age, just a number that sticks out to you for some reason. If that is the case, this is just confirmation that you have chosen the right pile and you are in the right place at the right reading. Doesn't have to apply, might just apply to a couple of people and might just give you a little bit of extra confirmation if that is the case. Okay, pile 1 collective, I think unfortunately you are definitely somebody who has been the victim of other people's narratives, let's say. The things that certain people have said to other people about you. With this villain card in particular coming through, that is making me think that certain people, the way they have spoken about you to other people, let's say, like maybe people who don't know you tremendously well, they have maybe made you the villain in their story. So I think one thing about you that is shocking to other people when they actually meet you, when they actually get to know you a little bit, is you are not this villain figure that people made you out to be. I think this comes as quite a surprise to some people when they have been given this false narrative about who you are. I think they expect one thing, maybe some of the stories they have heard from like people you are not friends with anymore, or past partners or something like that, if things ended on bad terms. I feel like sometimes people make you the villains in their stories, like the villain in their own mind. They convince themselves that you did them wrong because they did you wrong or something like that. So it's like when you encounter some of the people that have heard about you through these other people who have been essentially spreading mistruths about you and about what has happened, it's like people are shocked that you are not this villainous figure and that actually there is something incredibly pure about you. Like, I'm getting the phrase too pure for this world. So not that you're like super innocent, you've never done anything wrong, or like not in like a gross, objectifying, purity culture type way, but I feel like when people encounter you, you are a lot sweeter and cuter than what they expected you to be, because maybe they've heard some of these stories from people who are not in your life anymore, perhaps with good reason, and they expect you maybe to be like more aggressive or just play the role of the villain. So maybe they, if you are a female, maybe they expect you to be a B word or a mean girl or something like that. They expect you to be like the Regina George of the story or something if we're literally talking about mean girls. But you really are actually not. There is something incredibly innocent and endearing about you with this purification card. It's like you feel like a breath of fresh air to people, and I think a lot of people kind of take a step back and they're like, wow, Power One is just not how I expected them to be at all from some of the stories that I've heard. And again, like, I just want to reiterate that I think a lot of these stories could potentially be lies, narratives that people have twisted. They have made you into a villain when perhaps you are not. So I do just want to say that, but I think some people, when they've heard these stories and then when they've gone on to meet you, they have been like, wow, like, Pal One has really, this, my expectation did not meet the reality, essentially. And I think, like, with this purification as well, it could be that, you know, when people first encounter you, if it's not villain in the sense of like stories that they've heard about you or something like that, it could just be that you might come across as quite intimidating, or you might come across on the surface as somebody who, if you wanted to tear someone down, let's say, you could. Like, I think you might come across as somebody who could win an argument, could win a fight, could create an insult that really cuts to the bone, could roast people very easily or something like that. So it could be sort of villain in like a more jokey, villainous way, like just somebody who on the surface might come across as like chipping in with like a sneaky joke or something like that. But actually, there is something incredibly pure about you. And what I mean by that is, like, you could have a sort of, I think it comes down to what we were saying with this villain, like a tough exterior. But actually, there is something underneath where, like, people, the thing that people find so unexpected about you is those moments of sweet innocence and those moments of purity. So I'm not saying that, you know, people encounter you and for the most part they just think like, oh, what an absolute bitch or something like that. But I just think people are surprised by how sweet you actually are. Maybe they're surprised by the lightness of your soul. Maybe there is something very unexpectedly giving about you. And from an exterior perspective, perhaps people don't expect you to be that way. Or it could be that, you know, you have this sort of harder shell, like a harder outer shell. Maybe you have walls up or something like that. You know, a lot of the best villains in fiction, in like books and TV shows, they always have like a backstory, don't they? There is always a reason why they are how they are. I think once people learn more about your backstory, your lore, if you will, I think that makes them warm to you even more and makes them see you more as this, you know, source of light. It could be that, you know, from this external perspective, people perceive you as, like we say, quite tough, hard outer shell or something like that. But it could be that people are surprised by these little innocent, pure, sweet moments that they get glimpses of. So you could very much come across as the kind of person who, like, do you know, if you're with a group of friends or something like that, and let's say you're friends with these two people who are in a romantic relationship together, they're a couple, you could be the kind of person who like playfully roasts them for being lovey-dovey with each other in public or something like that, and you're like, ew, or something. But then underneath the surface, when people get to know you, they realize and they are shocked by the fact that actually you can be incredibly sweet as well. When you want to be under the right circumstances, you yourself might be able to be quite lovey-dovey, quite romantic. You can speak from the heart a lot more than what people first think when they meet you or something like that. So it could be that although you're the type of person to be like, ew, at couples or something, when they're being like a bit all over each other or a bit too much, equally you could have a real soft spot for something that makes people see you as incredibly pure. So it could be like if if you see reels of like a sad story about an animal or a baby or something like that, it could be that that has you in tears. And when people see this sweeter side of you, they interpret that as incredibly pure. It's like a piece of your pure soul is kind of shining through. So it could be that like a lot of the time you don't come across as though you take life too seriously. Like you're fine with roasting people, you're fine with having a joke, but when people see those little pure, serious, soft moments, it really makes them see you in a different light, and it's something that's quite a pleasant surprise to them, I think. With this villain card coming through as well, I do really get the sense that different people interpret you in a lot of different ways. And I think we all are incredibly multifaceted as humans. We all have dual natures and things we show some people and things we show other people and things we don't show anyone. But I think a lot of people have a lot of different stories to tell about you. And I think, like, I don't know, villain is just making me think of like characters in a film or a book or something. So it could be that people are shocked by how many different roles you can play in someone's narrative. And I suppose it comes down to what we were saying earlier about people being shocked that you are a lot sweeter than what they thought or something like that. But I'm just getting the phrase like you are many different things to many different people. So I think people are shocked by the layers of who you are. Like you can be all these different things. To some people, you can be seen as the hero, and to other people, you can be seen as the villain. I think they are shocked by the fact that they can never fully put a handle on you. They can't pinpoint you to being one thing. I think that is something that shocks them. It's definitely giving me like Neptunian, Piscean vibes. It's also giving me like a little bit of Gemini. When we spoke about potentially coming across as like intimidating, it could also give me like Scorpio or Aries or Capricorn rising or something like that. That doesn't have to apply. It's just a little bit of astrology. You know, if any of those do apply, it's just extra confirmation, but it certainly doesn't have to. I definitely keep getting something about people being shocked by your dual or contrarian nature, and just the opposition between this villain and the purification card. I'm just getting such a lot of mirroring or opposite energy. And I keep wanting to say something about your sense of humor. Maybe people interpret you one way because your sense of humor can come across as a little bit dark, like darkly comical or something like that. Maybe you are not afraid to like make the out there jokes or kind of say something inappropriate or something like that. I mean, not necessarily inappropriate, but those jokes where like they have everyone in stitches, but your friends are like, I'm glad you said it because I was thinking it, but you actually said it. Like you go there in terms of jokes or something like that. So people could find your sense of humor, your ability to roast people, your ability to be darkly comic, they could find that quite shocking, but they could find it especially shocking in comparison with like your dual nature of also being incredibly sweet and caring and pure sometimes. So it could be that, a part of your humor feels like a little bit dark, but then equally you can be so, so soft and gentle when it comes to other things. So I don't know why, but it's giving me the image of like you being in a car with your friends or something like that, and you make a really shocking joke that has everyone in stitches, but they're like, whoa, where did that come from, you absolute psycho? Like, calm down with these out there jokes or something like that. But then later on in the journey, like if you're driving, let's say, maybe there's like a bird or a mouse in the middle of the road or something like that. And even though there's like a line of traffic waiting behind you, you would always slow down, you would get out of the car, you would remove that bird or that mouse very gently and put them on the side of the road. People on the one hand think you're like this villainous character who will come out with these funny, dark one-liners and jokes, but equally you have this really soft side that I think people are very shocked by and very endeared by when they get to know you. Like, they find it really adorable, and they are shocked by how adorable they find it, how pure your soul is. I also think people can be shocked by your ability to not allow people's projections of you and people labeling you as this villain to get you down. I think a way you have people shook is by your ability to just not give a shit, honestly, about what people are saying about you or if they want to label you the villain or not. Like, you know your own truth and your own story. You do not have to bend over backwards trying to convince anyone that you are not the villain, because you know you're not. Like, you know yourself. And I think this is something people are shocked by, but they also admire. I keep getting the image of Cassie in Euphoria, I think season 2, where Lexi does the play about them and then Cassie gets up on stage and she's like, I can't remember exactly what she said, but it's something like, well, if you want me to be the villain, then so be it, or something like that. And I'm not saying you would go and get up on stage and say all that. And to be fair, Cassie, did some quite bad things in season 2. So like, I'm not saying that you are like her character or anything like that, but I just kept getting those lines in my head. I'm not saying you are like her, but I think you have that attitude of like, well, if you want to paint me as the villain, then so be it. I think some people do, but some people are also really shocked by the fact that actually you are not how some have made you out to be. You have this very sweet nature. It's like you know how to play the villain, but that is not really who you are at a soul level. And this leaves people shook, that you are not what they originally thought. With the nourishment card coming through, I'm getting that people could be shocked or surprised by the fact that you are a good cook or a good baker or something like that. Maybe if you have cooked for people in the past, maybe they have gone in not expecting too much from it, but it's turned out that you can actually make like an amazing meal. You could be a really good chef. Maybe you know how to cook extravagant meals. Maybe you really know how to cook quite complex dishes for your friends, your family, your partners, or something like that. And this is maybe something that surprises them. Like, maybe this is something that you don't necessarily brag about. You just make the meals. And I don't think it's that people necessarily expect very little of you, but I think maybe you are a lot more talented at cooking or something like that. What you give yourself credit for, maybe you have more skills in the kitchen than the average person or something like that. And people are really shocked in a very pleasant way about that. Maybe your meals leave them speechless, your ability to nourish them. It could also be your ability to nourish them in terms of like looking after them or just with your conversation. It could be that your conversations with them leave them highly stimulated and that is not something that they expected. It's like maybe they expected to get into just like a basic conversation with you, but after leaving your company, I think people are quite shocked at the fact that they feel very nourished and they're like, wow, that was actually an incredibly, mentally or emotionally stimulating conversation. And, even if they don't know you very well, or because they don't know you very well, it's like not what they expected. They expected just maybe like a hi, how are you? The basics. Maybe they didn't expect you and them to talk as much as you did, but the conversation ended up leaving them a lot more nourished than what they thought. This antelope card is really making me think of the Lion King for some reason. And it's making me think of, I guess, the like predator-prey relationship, like the relationship between the lions and the antelopes or something like that. So it could be that, people who don't know you very well, they are shocked to learn that in certain people's stories, you were the one who was preyed upon, but maybe certain people in your life or who have now left your life are making out like something different occurred when you were in a relationship or a friendship with them or something like that. It could be that, the tables turned somehow in terms of people's opinions about you due to new information that they found out and were shocked by. I don't know, something to do with that, like them being shocked by you being the one who was preyed upon. I don't know if that is going to make sense to anyone, but that is just something I'm getting. I keep getting the imagery of the Lion King and the stampede and things like that. And then obviously if we're talking about like characters in films, it's like the relationship between Simba and Scar in the Lion King. Like, obviously, after the stampede, when Scar convinces Simba to leave and never come back or whatever, it's like he is telling Simba his narrative. He convinces Simba that, that would be better than staying and facing the consequences for Simba doing something that he shouldn't have done and getting down, like, in that quarry near the antelopes or whatever it was he did. I don't know why that is coming through, but it's just making me think of, someone twisting the narrative about you and maybe convincing you even or other people something about yourself that wasn't true. And it's like it comes as a shock, even maybe for you to learn that you weren't actually the villain. Maybe you were like gaslighted by somebody, or it's shocked other people around you to learn that you weren't the villain in this situation or something like that, like the roles were reversed. Something to do with the roles being reversed between you and another person and things not being how they made them out to be, and people being shocked when they find out this information, when they actually found out who the real villain was or something like that. So that is what I'm getting for the oracle portion of your reading, pile one. I think I might just finish this portion of the reading by rolling the astro dice before we move on to the tarot. So hopefully the astro dice will give us a little bit of further confirmation on how you leave people shook, how you shock and surprise people. So please bear with me and we'll do that. Okay, pile one. So we have Aquarius. We have the second house, and we have Uranus, I think. So we do have quite a little bit of Aquarian energy showing up, with Aquarius and Uranus both showing up. So with these energies coming through, it's making me feel as though people are very shocked by how quickly they have to develop a new opinion on you, because often Aquarius energy, Uranus energy, it can be associated with the new breakthroughs, new developments, new technology, things like that. So it makes me feel as though there is something shocking and unexpected about you, and people have to reassess their opinions, their preconceived notions regarding you very quickly. I also think there is something incredibly rebellious about your energy. I think, it comes into what we were saying in the earlier part of the oracle reading, where we were like, there's something about your humor or something like that that kind of catches people off guard, and they might think of you one way for this reason. But I also think that, people are quite shocked by your rebellious nature and your ability to maybe to shock people with your humor or something like that, if you do have a darker sense of humor. I think people are surprised by how unique you are. Maybe when certain people met you, they wanted to put you in this box. And in some people's stories, that was like the villain or something like that. And I think they are so shocked by how different you actually were when they actually took the time to get to know you or something like that. And when I gave that example, in the oracle portion of the reading, where I was like, you can actually be quite soft, maybe with small creatures or with babies or something like that. It could be like with this Aquarius and Uranus energy coming through, it could be that people are very shocked by your humanitarian nature. Maybe they are shocked that you are actually incredibly caring regarding certain causes, because maybe due to the sense of humor that you have or something like that, maybe people don't always perceive you that way at first. But they are actually very shocked, I suppose, by how deep you are, maybe into like humanitarian causes and how much you care about making the world a better place or something like that. It could also be like with the second house showing up and the second house being linked to material assets and finances and things like that. It could actually be that people are shocked by how independent or financially stable you are. Maybe if you have this kind of quirky Aquarius energy on the surface or something like that, maybe people don't expect you to have some of this like Taurus, grounded, stable, financially secure energy. Or maybe people think that your financial security is dependent on somebody else, like when they first encounter you, and then they are shocked to learn that everything you have, it hasn't been handed to you, it hasn't been given to you. You have worked hard for that. You have worked incredibly hard to establish your independence. And I think this is something that really surprises people, and it makes them see you in a very different light. It makes them see that maybe they were wrong in their presumptions about you, and it is something that hits them very unexpectedly when they find out about the real you and all that you have to offer. That is what I'm getting for the oracle portion of your reading, Pile 1. We are about to move on to the tarot portion, so please bear with me and I'll see you in the tarot portion of your reading. Hi Pile 1 Collective, welcome back to the tarot portion of your reading. Without hesitation, let's just get started and have a look at the cards we pulled for you. Okay, so we have the Four of Wands, we have the Five of Wands, we have Judgment, we have the King of Wands, we have the Devil, we have the World, we have the Three of Cups, and we have the Fool. Okay, Pile 1. So I definitely believe that something about who you are, the way that you show up in the world, it can cause a conflict in terms of other people's egos. I think there is something about you that for some reason makes certain people want to cling on to coping mechanisms that their ego once developed to keep them safe. And it could come down to like you appearing as quite intimidating or scarier than you actually are on the surface, and people finding out that you're actually not like that and being quite surprised. Maybe you are somebody who has been referred to as like unapproachable. I know I've had this in a few readings, but also the phrase like resting bitch face is coming up. So maybe something like that. They thought you were one particular way and actually you're not, and people are quite surprised to learn this. Maybe people are more surprised to hear that actually you have a very sweet nature. There is something with this Fool energy coming through, there is something very beautiful, very spontaneous and like playful about you. The Fool can sometimes be associated with like naivety. I think that tends to be more like on the bad side when it's in reverse, and obviously it's not showed up in reverse or anything like that. But there is just something kind of, I don't know, the Fool is giving me like this sort of offbeat, darkly funny sense of humour. Maybe from an external perspective, people think you are going to be like a little bit argumentative or something like that. And maybe they are shocked when they find out that actually you're not like that. You're just here to have a good time. If you are one particular way, like in a work setting or something like that, if you are somebody's boss or manager, it could be that they think you are going to be like in this King of Wands energy, like you are a tyrant, you are domineering or controlling or something like that. But actually, I think people are surprised to learn that you can really let loose and be in this Fool energy, be in this energy of just really being able to have a good time and access that spontaneous, playful nature, be adventurous, just go with the flow. I think people will be quite surprised to learn about like some of the fun activities that you have engaged in the past. I think they would be quite shocked to learn that you are not scared to go and do things differently, like with that Aquarius coming up in the role of the Astro dice. I think there is something very offbeat and unique and independent about your energy that really makes people quite surprised when they find out more about you. Maybe there is something about the way you approach the world that is unconventional in some way. Maybe it's something to do with your appearance in terms of how you dress, like your aesthetic, or equally it could be like a lifestyle path you follow if you are quite spiritual or something like that, or you're into kind of like woo-woo things. If you talk about that openly, maybe this creates a conflict with other people of like different beliefs or something. With this Five of Wands coming through, I know like I don't want this to be interpreted as like a negative, but it could be that people are shocked by how wrong they get you, because they might look at you and the set of beliefs that you hold and they might actually think that you would be judgmental regarding them. It could sort of get their backs up a little bit. It could get them in their ego because they think like, oh, well, Pile 1 is just like a little bit of a know-it-all and they are going to treat me this one way because they have this set of unconventional beliefs. And if I don't believe in that, they are going to be aggressive towards me, when that actually isn't the case at all. Like, and actually with this Judgment card coming through, I think people are quite surprised to learn how self-aware you are, and also like we were saying, like humanitarian. So I don't think any of your beliefs are coming from a place of you wanting to be like, oh, I'm better than you or anything like that. I think your beliefs come from a place of genuinely wanting to make the world a better and more harmonious place. So I think people are shocked when they actually have a discussion with you and they see that you are very stable and grounded and reasonable. You are logical in your approach to having discussions, even when your beliefs oppose those of other people's. You are not afraid to really have a supportive discussion with somebody who has different beliefs, and you won't, in fact, judge them. I think sometimes people want you to see them in high regard, and I think if you come across as intimidating or anything like that, maybe certain times people are worried about approaching you because they think that you will be judgmental, like if they don't have a good job or if they don't earn X amount of money or something like that. And that is just not the case at all. That is people's, projection of you. And I think they are very pleasantly surprised. You have them shook when they realize that actually, you don't necessarily value the things that they thought you did. You are this unconventional, humanitarian, rebellious, Aquarius energy, and I think you really shock people with your unconventional nature, but also your ability to be very self-aware. I feel like with this devil energy coming through, I think in this instance it can mean a couple of different things. I think people are shocked on the one hand by how tempted they are by you, by how powerless they might feel in your presence. You could get people who thought, that they were very secure in their own selves. You could get them feeling powerless, I think, again, due to this sense of intimidation that people might feel when they're around you. I'm also getting something about temptation. So you could be the kind of person who people are shocked by in the sense that they feel very tempted by you. And regardless of your gender or like whichever sexuality you are or who you are interested in, if you are interested in anyone in that way, it's like the people who are interested in you, they find themselves shocked by how much they are obsessing over you. And I feel like, the people who end up obsessing over you, it's like not who you would expect. So I think sometimes these could be people who have said like, oh, I've written off men or I've written off women forever, like I'm not interested, nobody can get my attention anymore like that. And then you come in and it's like they're shocked by how hooked and obsessed they are by your energy, like you lure them in. I think with this devil card, it could also imply that people treat you as the scapegoat, and this could refer back to what we said when we discussed that villain card showing up, people making you the villain in their narratives. So it could be that you shock people by not being this villain that certain people presented you as or something like that. Because we were saying people are shocked by actually how soft and sweet you can be in the oracle portion of the reading. I think this kind of applies here. So with this devil, and again, I keep getting something about your sense of humor. So it could be that, people who have only met you on a surface level, you have made a joke about something and they have kind of joked back with you like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. Like you are literally so evil or something like that for making that joke. So it could be that and I don't think you would make jokes with the intention of harming anybody or anything like that. I don't think it's like that. I think you are a person who maybe says what a lot of other people are thinking, but they are too scared to say it. But I think often it is done with like light-hearted, jokey intentions, and it does make people laugh. It's not like a hurtful joke. It's not punching down or anything like that. I think it's just a bit of like a offbeat joke, something where people are like, you're so weird or something like that with that Aquarius energy coming through. I think you like to make people laugh by being unconventional, by being weird. And it's like not everyone gets to see that softer side of you. So I think people are really shocked when that softer side does come out. And it's like when you turn into a literal angel, because I think, people are shocked by how easily you can give them these big angelic eyes and you can be really sweet. You can cook for them, you can bake for them. Like people are shocked by how easily you can flip between this devil and angel or something like that, and you can play whichever role people need you to play in that moment. And in certain people's narratives, you are going to be the devil, and in some, you're going to be the angel. And I think that is something you have come to terms with. And I think people are also surprised by how well you are able to come to terms with that, because I think people look at that situation and sometimes they think, like, what, if that was me being talked about, I'd have to go out of my way to clear things up and to set the record straight. But I think, Pal One, you are somebody who very much realizes that everybody is going to have an opinion on you, and it doesn't matter Honestly, as long as you show up in the world the way that you want to show up, as long as you stick to your values, as long as you are trying to make the world a better place, that is all you care about, I think. I don't think you care about the unnecessary opinions of others. I don't think you are trying too hard to rectify those opinions. I don't think you feel the need to, and why should you, to be honest? Some people are always going to make you the devil in their stories, and honestly, that is not your business, and I think you know that. And it could also be like with this Four of Wands, I mean, this can sometimes indicate stability. So again, it could refer to like that financial stability we were talking about, people being surprised by how financially stable you are and how you have managed to establish that financial independence yourself, how you are not relying on anybody else in order to, be stable for you. So people could be shocked by this. That could be leaving them shook. It could also be that people are shook by just how fun you are at gatherings, at social gatherings and parties or something like that. It could be that you are the kind of person, and we spoke a little bit about you having this like unapproachable energy or something like that. Maybe that's how you appear on the surface, and people are a little bit intimidated or on guard with you. But then maybe when you and another group of people or another person have a few drinks, and when inhibitions are lowered, and when you are having a laugh and you are able to shine and come into your element, you are maybe feeling a little bit less shy. It's like you become this different person and you are so much fun and you are willing to be adventurous, or you're the person who says like, let's go and do more shots, or you buy shots for people or something like that. And people are just shook by how much fun you are. They are surprised by how much they want you at their gatherings, at their parties. They're surprised by how much they want to socialize with you. I also think people are surprised with this Three of Cups and the World showing up. I think people are shocked by how easily it is to make friends with you, and especially if you do show up in the world in this more sort of unapproachable, intimidating, or just shy and reserved energy. It's like when people click with you, they really click with you, and you easily become a part of their world. They feel this sense of belonging with you, and I think it almost takes them off guard. It surprises them because they're like, wow, like I've never, connected with somebody so easily like this. I've never had these deeper conversations with somebody right off the bat like this. Because I think once people open up to you, and once you in turn are able to open up to them, I think you can have more of those flowing conversations. But I think people are shocked by this. They're like, maybe based on your appearance, if anyone has judged you for the way you look or for being unapproachable or something like that, it could be that people are shocked by how easily they get along with you because they didn't think that you would be the type of person who they would get along with, maybe due to how you present yourself or your belief system or just being a bit unconventional or something like that. But they are really shocked by how much they get on with you, how much they value your opinions, by how much of a good time they have with you, by how much fun they can have with you, by how much lighter they feel in your presence. I think people also feel a sense of belonging with you that they don't necessarily feel with other people, and it takes them by surprise. They don't always see it coming. And with the Five of Wands, I think people are also quite surprised by how easily and assertively you are able to stick up for yourself. So I feel like you leave people shook with your ability to roast. I keep getting something about you roasting them, your insults, your ability to like cut to the bone if you need to, but I feel like you only do that in circumstances where it is much needed. Like somebody has approached you with a certain attitude and you have had to put them in their place. Maybe you have tolerated quite a lot from this person and you have had to like shut it down or something like that, and then it leaves people shook because your insults, your ability to word things in a way that shuts people down and gets them to shut up, is just something that kind of shocks them. They're like, oh, like taken aback, especially, if they have seen that sweeter side of you. Unfortunately, sometimes being vulnerable with people makes them feel as though they're entitled to treat you how they want because they think that you will put up with it. And I think they are very shocked when you won't do that. So that is what I'm getting for you, the tarot portion of your reading, Pile 1. We are just going to finish up this reading with a little bit of closing guidance from the Moonology Oracle. So I will just shuffle those and then we'll see what we pull for you. Okay, Pile 1, so this is the card we pulled for you, and we got Meditate and Contemplate New Moon in Pisces. So I think the closing guidance for you, Pile 1, is just to show up in what I believe is the same energy that you already show up in. So I think the main message I'm getting for you, Pal One, and again, it's this Pisces, this Neptunian energy coming through. I know sometimes with Neptune placements, depending on where they fall in our charts, this can distort people's perspectives of us. It can create illusions. It can make people fantasize about us and again project onto us and make people believe things about us that just aren't true. It is their fantasy, it is the label that they have placed on us unnecessarily. So I think this is very much encouraging you to not feel the need to stick up for yourself if it's not warranted. And I think this is something that you already practice. Like, I think you would think about things, you would think things through. I think this is just reminding you to be cautious with your energy and to not give energy to the opinions of people who honestly don't matter. Like, if people don't know the real you and if they have no desire to fully get to know the real you, if they are not approaching you from a place of authenticity and being genuine, then you do not owe them like anything, essentially. You do not need to make a point of correcting them if they have created a false narrative about you in their mind. You do not need to fall into the trap of feeling like you have to correct them in terms of whatever illusion that they have created about you. What they have created about you in their head or based on what somebody else has said about you, like we said in an earlier part of the reading, that is none of your business. You are not here to shift people's perspectives of you. All that matters is your perspective on you. So I think this is encouraging you to contemplate before taking action, before things becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, if somebody is trying to paint you as the villain, or somebody is trying to paint you as argumentative, or like you will start fights or something like that, maybe this is encouraging you to sit with those feelings before you take action, before you say something that you could potentially regret. And I think, Pal One, this is perhaps something that you have already been practicing. Maybe you used to like fly off the handle more when you were younger or something like that, and maybe you are doing less of that. But I think, it can be very easy to take other people's opinions of us very personally. It can be easy for us to dwell on that and for us to internalize some of that. It can be easy for us to replicate behaviors that other people have projected onto us and for us to see ourselves through the lens of other people and a label that they have put on us. But I think this is just encouraging you to really sit and meditate on your feelings before doing something that you are not truly aligned with. So, as much as you are capable of, insulting people, and as much as you are capable of roasting people when it's needed, I think this is encouraging you to not do it if it's not needed. And obviously, only you can decide if it's needed or not. I'm not here to tell you one way or the other. But I think this is saying to you, like, maybe think before you speak, contemplate things more, and don't do something if it's not in alignment with who you truly are. Don't do something just to try and fit in with that label of villain. I'm getting the phrase like, don't prove them right. So don't act in any ways that aren't in alignment with who your soul truly is. If people get the wrong impression of you and that doesn't feel fair, then sit with those feelings, honor that feeling of injustice that comes with people getting the wrong impression about you, but don't let it eat you up inside, and don't let it make you act out of character in a way that's not in alignment with who you are. Don't let it ruin your sweet side, your amazing, beautiful, caring, and gentle nature. We know full well, Pal One, that you could insult someone, that you can roast someone, that you can shut someone down, but maybe ask yourself, but do I need to? And sometimes maybe it's essential, but other times maybe you can sit with your feelings. Use a method to decompress, like writing, journaling, to vent your feelings, to get them out, to air your frustrations. Open up to people you can trust, your friends, your family, your partner, or something like that. But don't act in a way that feels like it would be a betrayal to who you truly are just because you feel the need to react to certain people's opinions of you. You don't have to play the villain if you don't want to, is what I'm essentially trying to say. So that is the piece of advice that I'm going to leave you with, Pal One. I really hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did enjoy it, please like the video, please comment, and if at all possible, please subscribe. All of that would mean the absolute world to me, and I would appreciate it so, so much. Thank you for listening, Pal One, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Hi, Pal 2 Collective. If you chose the olive mushroom and you chose Pal 2, this will be your reading. This reading is titled, How do you surprise people? How do you leave people speechless? What about you makes people shook? We are about to get started with this reading. However, if you would like to know more about this reading, then please check out the description or the pinned comment below, and you should get all your information there. Thank you so much for being here and for listening. I really do appreciate it. I notice every single like, every single comment, and every single new subscriber, and I just appreciate you being here so, so much. And with that said, if you like my style of content, if you want to see more of it, please like the video, please comment, and if at all possible, please subscribe. That would all mean the absolute world to me, and I would appreciate it so, so much. Also, if you would like to give me any suggestions of videos you would like to see going forward, please let me know. Again, just comment below and I will take those suggestions on board. Other than that, I'm happy to have you here, and let's get started with the reading. Okay, Pal 2, let's have a look at the cards we pulled for you. We have communication, number 2. We have number 6, dragons, slay them all. And we have the frog and lotus metamorphosis. So the numbers 2 or 6 could be significant to you. These could be numbers that you are seeing a lot of in terms of synchronicity or in terms of angel numbers. You could be at the age of 26 if we put the 2 and the 6 together, or these just could be numbers that are in some way significant to you. It doesn't have to be, it's just a little bit of extra confirmation if that is the case, just to let you know that you've chosen the right pile. First things first, Pal 2, with this communication card coming through, I'm getting that something that leaves people shook about you is your communication, the way you communicate. So this could be in regards to your voice, the way you verbalize yourself, the way you speak to people. It could be in regards to your intellect, like people might think that you articulate yourself very well and they didn't expect you to be so articulate or something like that. You could have an extensive vocabulary, which people, don't necessarily expect upon first meeting you. I'm not saying that they look at you and they think you're unintelligent or anything like that. It's just that maybe once they get talking to you, you really shock them with your extensive vocabulary, with your knowledge, with the things that you are able to talk about, to discuss. Maybe it's the fact that they don't expect you to be so open or so direct in your communication or something like that. Maybe at first you are like quite shy and reserved, and the way you are able to open up, the way you are able to articulate things, to talk about deeper topics, to explore different kinds of topics that maybe people don't discuss every day, maybe different kind of topics than what is just like commonplace small talk or something like that. It could be that something really shocks people about your method of communication in that way. It could also be that you are a very talented writer or something like that, or you come across as extremely confident when you are publicly speaking. And like we said, if you are a more of a shy, reserved person, this could come as a shock. In terms of writing, if you are a writer or anything like that, if you do that as a job or you do it for fun, it could come as a shock to people, the kinds of things you write about. Like, I don't know, I'm just getting the example of like if you are a journalist of some kind or you're writing articles for an online women's magazine or something like that, and it's about a spicy topic, let's say, it could be like people are quite shocked in terms of, oh, I thought Pal 2 was so sweet and innocent, but they're writing about all this spicy stuff, and it comes as a shock. But I think they also think you are very talented if you write. I think they think you are a talented writer, and maybe something about your style of writing just shocks them. Maybe they didn't expect you to be so talented. Maybe they knew that you wrote in your spare time or something like that if it's not a job. but maybe they didn't realize how good the writing would be. Maybe they are like, how to, wow, you could actually get this published. Like, where have these ideas come from? They might think that you have these brilliant ideas in terms of your artistry, in terms of your creative pursuits, whatever way you choose to express yourself. Maybe they're just shocked by how profound it actually is. Maybe, on the surface, you could come across as somebody who is like quite happy go lucky or something like that. And then maybe when people read your writing, maybe it's about something that explores the darkness of humanity or human emotions or something like that. And people are like, wow, like I didn't know Pal2 had this in them, but they are able to communicate these darker topics in such a profound way. And it kind of shocks them, it kind of surprises them, but in a very good way. It could also be that your voice is surprising somehow. So, I'm getting like you could be an unexpectedly good singer or something like that. So, maybe when people hear you sing, they are shocked at how good you sound. If you are just joking around with some friends and you start singing in the car or something like that, as one example, it could be that people have been like, wow, Pal2, like you can actually sing. And people didn't know this about you prior to that experience or something like that. It could also be that there is just something generally surprising about your voice. Like maybe when you talk, you don't sound how people would expect you to sound, if that makes sense. So I don't know if you have like a customer service job or something like that. It could be like people don't feel as though your looks match your voice or something like that. It's like they expected one thing and they got something different. So if you're talking on the phone to people in a customer service role or something like that, it could be that people make assumptions about you based on your voice, and then when they actually see you in person, you are told that you look different to how they expected or something like that. So I'm getting sort of two opposite examples, and I'm just going to give both of them to kind of explain my point. It could be that on the surface you look quite shy and sweet, or you look quite reserved, and you don't look like you're going to be as assertive as what you turn out to be, but when you communicate with people, it could be that actually you have a voice that can really project, you are able to assert yourself, you are able to be really direct, and this comes as a shock to people, it leaves them speechless. Or it could be something like you look more intimidating than you sound, or you look unapproachable, or you look like, you could really tear someone down or something like that, like tear them to shreds. But it could be that when you actually start speaking, your voice is really soft and gentle and high pitched or something like that, like just not what they expect. It could be that you shock people with the amount you know about certain topics, like maybe things that people wouldn't expect you to know about, you actually have quite a significant amount of knowledge on, and this comes as a surprise to certain people. I'm not saying that people think you are dumb or anything, I'm just saying that maybe they don't expect you to come out with some of the phrases that you do. Maybe they don't always expect you to have like the amount of knowledge on all these various topics that you actually do. With card number 6, dragons, slay them all coming through, I think people would be shocked to learn about everything you have actually been through. I think people are shocked when they find out how resilient you have had to be in certain situations. I think people will be shocked to know how many times you have had to show up for yourself and be your own hero. I think, in a metaphorical sense, people are shocked by how many dragons you have had to slay, like how many times you have been downtrodden in life, how many times it feels like you have had the short end of the stick, but you have managed to overcome these incidents. I think people would be so surprised by all you have had to go through and the fact that you have come out of these things. I think people are shocked by how brave, how strong and resilient and courageous you have had to be. If you do open up to people about things that you have been through in the past, I think they would be very shocked to learn about these things. I don't necessarily think you're somebody who always wears their heart on their sleeve and just kind of vents their trauma all the time to anyone who will listen. Probably when you are able to get vulnerable and close to people, you might open up a little bit more. And this is when, people learn more about your story, what you have been through, the things you have endured. And I think they are very shocked by this because to look at you, to encounter you, I think you come across as very strong and brave and confident. And I think people just assume that is natural. They assume that you maybe haven't had to work hard to get to that point, which isn't the truth. I think once they realize everything that you have been through, it is a shock to them just how strong you are and just how resilient you are. I think people when you tell them what you have had to go through, I think people think, wow, I could have never imagined getting through that myself. I don't know how Pal 2 did it. It just absolutely floors them. The amount of lessons that you have had to learn, the amount of things that you have had to just go through, and how well you have dealt with all of it, how you've always come back. It's giving me like Phoenix rising from the ashes or something like that. It's giving me this imagery of like you being the Phoenix, of you having to burn things down and then come back bigger and brighter than ever. You've had to leave certain things in the dust. You have had to slay dragons. You have had to get rid of certain people from your life, but you have come back stronger. And I think when people get to know you and they realize that you've been through all this, I think it really surprises them that, you know, what you have had to deal with and what you have been able to deal with and how well you have bounced back from all of it. It's like, although things might have shattered you at the time, you would never know this from an external perspective. I don't think you're somebody who sits there and feels sorry for yourself. I think people are very surprised when they find out about the things that have happened to you because you're just not somebody who wallows in self pity or anything like that. So I think it does come as quite a surprise to them. With this metamorphosis card coming through, I'm getting that's something that people might be surprised by in terms of you is your ability to change and transform yourself and to be a different version of you each and every time that they encounter you. So it could be that this is in terms of your physical appearance or something like that. Maybe things shift quite dramatically from the first time somebody meets you between then and the next time or something like that. It could be that you are currently embarking on a little bit of a glow up journey and maybe people will be shocked the next time they see you after it's been a good while, after it's been a long period of time, because you have successfully managed to transform yourself. So it could be that you have been embarking on a fitness journey. It could be that you have changed your hairstyle, your makeup style, your dress sense. It could be something external, something that's aesthetic like that, but equally, it could be your ability to transmute and transform your life after having undergone certain pain from your past. So it could be that what really shocks people is your ability to bounce back. Like we said when we looked at the Dragons card earlier, it's like your ability to bounce back and rise from the ashes and maybe transform some of the pain that you've been through into lesson, into the ability to learn and to better connect with people. It could be that you've turned some of your trauma into art, for example, you know, the writing example that we gave earlier. It could be that you write about your own experiences. My dog's just come in. Cookie! Hey, Cookie! Hi! Hi! Anyway, so it could be that people are really surprised by the transformations you make. It could be that a lot of people who knew you in the past are surprised by how you now look or how you now act if you are very different to the person who you were before. It could be that people are very surprised by how you have changed your life, how you have transformed your life for the better, how you have become this better version of you, how you have experienced a glow up in some way. That is what I'm getting for the oracle portion of your reading, Pal 2. We are going to close this part of the reading by rolling the astro dice to get a little bit more confirmation and a little bit more info regarding this energy, and then we are going to move on to the tarot portion of the reading. So please bear with me and we will roll the astro dice now. Pile 2. Okay, Pal 2, so we have the 11th house, we have Leo, and we have the South Node. So with these energies coming through, particularly Leo, I definitely think you give Leo vibes, whether you have prominent Leo in your chart or not, whether it is, you know, your rising sign or anything like that, or in your first house, or not. You could have like sun energy in your first house as well. Sorry, going off on a bit of a tangent now. But yeah, you definitely give me somebody with Leo energy because a lot of Leos, and we're not talking about the shadow side now, where obviously like each sign has a shadow side, but just in regards to Leo's more bright, shiny, positive attributes, they can be the life of the party. I'm not saying that if you're a Leo who doesn't like parties, then you can't exist, but I just mean in whatever setting they inhabit, they brighten up the environment. They bring a lot of fun, a lot of life, a lot of creativity to any place they're in. They know how to lighten the mood, they know how to be charismatic, and as well, they are confident, they are strong, they are brave. And I think people are shocked by how you are all of those things while simultaneously having dealt with some of the things that you have dealt with. And with this 11th house coming through, it's making me think of communities and like friendship circles. 11th house is an Aquarius house. So it's making me think of like some of your friends even being shocked when they find out more about you and they realize all the things that you have been through. It's like, well, Pal 2 is so amazing in that they're confident, they're strong, they're the life of the party, they are so resilient, and they've also been through XYZ, they've been through all of this. They've had such a hard past, but they never let it get them down. They continue shining brightly, showing up in this Sun/Leo energy. People are just so enamored by this. They are so surprised by how you are able to do this. It comes back to like transmuting that pain into art, into creativity, or something like that, because Leos are very creative. I just don't think you're the type of person who lets the bad things that have happened to you get you down. With the South Node coming through, the South Node can sometimes talk about our natural gifts or the things that our soul remembers in a way, the things that our soul is comfortable with from a previous life, like from a previous iteration of us as human beings. So it could be that people are shocked by how naturally gifted you are at certain things. So it could be that you are the kind of person who, like, even though you haven't done a particular hobby before, if your friend introduces you to this hobby and you're like, oh, like, but I haven't tried it before, I'm going to be really bad at it, or something like that, it could be that your soul in a past life, because you had that hobby in a past life, maybe you're able to familiarize yourself with things very quickly. Like maybe you're able to learn things very quickly, you're able to pick up skills because it's like your soul remembers or something like that. Like you can get stuck into projects and it just feels comfortable. It feels like something your body, your mind already knows how to do, and people are surprised by how skilled you are in picking up on these things incredibly quickly, like a lot quicker than other people or something like that. That is what I am getting in regards to the Astro Dice Pal 2. We are now going to move on to the tarot portion of the reading, so please bear with me and we'll get onto that now. Hi Pal 2 Collective, welcome back to the tarot portion of your reading. Without hesitation, let's get started and have a look at the cards we pulled for you. Okay Pal 2, we have the Seven of Wands, we have Justice, we have the Six of Cups, we have the Page of Cups in reverse, we have the Four of Cups, we have the Ten of Coins, we have the Ace of Wands, and we have Strength. Unsurprisingly, we have Strength. Okay, Pal 2, so I'm definitely getting fire or like Leo energy coming through, particularly with this Strength card. It is similar to what we said in the Oracle. I do really believe that people are incredibly shocked by how strong, how brave, and how resilient you are. I think people are just shocked when they hear about the amount of bad things you might have experienced throughout your life. If you have experienced significant trauma in your life, I think people are genuinely shocked when they hear about this. Because, and obviously, like, this is going to be different for every single person. It is a collective reading. For some of you, it could be that you have suffered at the hands of other people, and people are shocked when they find out what kind of injustice has happened to you, like with the Justice card showing up. It could be that, people are very surprised by the fact that you still, because we tend to find like when people are hurt, they can become the kind of people who then go on and hurt other people. Like if they have been hurt, they go on to hurt. And I don't think you are like that, pal, too. So I think people are shocked that you very much show up in the world from a place of integrity. You still endeavor to be honest with people, you endeavor to treat people fairly. And given what you have experienced, some of you, it's going to be things you have experienced, like we said, at the hands of other people. Some of you have probably just dealt with battles with your own mental health, your own mind, your own insecurities, and you have been through trauma in terms of that. It's going to be different for each individual. However, it's like people are both shocked and impressed by the way you approach the world through this lens of authenticity and being a person with integrity, because it's like people see you and they listen to what you've experienced, they find out about what you've been through, and they're like, wow, like this person just comes across as such a glowing, radiant, confident person. I would have never thought that that had happened to them. I would have never thought that, they would be the kind of person to have dealt with mental health issues of some kind, or they would have been the kind of person who has dealt with abusive relationships or something like that. They're like, because Pao2 just comes across as so confident, I just can't imagine them having gone through that. It's like I see them and they've transmuted this pain, they've transformed, and nothing is stopping them. They are still showing up incredibly courageously, and it would be very easy to believe that they have never been through anything bad in their life, because the way that, they never play victim, the way that they show up and fight, they continue to fight for themselves, especially like with this Seven of Wands as well. It's like you still know how to defend yourself, and people are shocked, that you are still standing. I think that's the phrase I keep getting. You're still standing, you're still willing to defend yourself, you're willing to protect your friends, and people just don't expect this given what you've been through. And I think they are, incredibly shocked when they do find out what you've been through. It surprises them that somebody as seemingly perfect, because I think a lot of people do view you through like putting you on a bit of a pedestal, or thinking like, wow, Pao2 just has so much confidence, things come so easily to them. But that hasn't always been the case. I think you have worked on this. This is something that has been developed over time. And when people realize that, it hasn't always just come easy to you like that, I think again, they are very surprised by it, and they realize just how brave you are, and they think about all the things you've had to overcome, and they know that you are a very strong person because of that. So, talking about the Seven of Wands, it could be that people are shocked by the way you are still able to stand your ground. Like, even if people have tried to put you down in the past, it's like you're still not afraid to assert yourself. It's like your ability to not let anything or anyone get you down, to stick up for yourself. This surprises people because they're like, it would be very easy for Pal2 to have given up after what's happened to them, but they're just not willing to do that. They are still stood, they are still fighting, they are still showing up for themselves, they are still protecting their energy. With this Six of Cups, it could indicate that people are shocked when they meet you, because when they meet you, you feel familiar to them in some way. You feel like even if they've just met you, you could be the kind of person where people say to you, like, have I met you before? Are you sure we haven't met up before? Or something like that, because something about you reminds them of something else. I'm not necessarily saying someone else, but something within you feels very familiar to them. There's something with you that might feel like home, and this feeling kind of shocks them. I think sometimes people might experience like a little bit of deja vu when they are around you or something like that. You might just get a lot of people saying to you, like, I feel like I've seen you before, or I feel like I've met you before, or something like that. Or, it could be that you make friends quite easily and you just kind of click with people, and it feels quite shocking to them because they have this sense of like, where have you been all my life, Pal2, or something like that. Like, it feels like fate in a way. Like, it feels weird that you hadn't met up prior to this, because you and this person like click so well together or something like that, and it really shocks them. So, with this Page of Cups in reverse, this can sometimes talk about insecurities. So, it could be that, these certain people who have kind of put you up on a pedestal and things like that, it could be that they are shocked if they find out that you have any insecurities. And pal two, like obviously insecurities are completely normal. I think most of us have an insecurity about something. I think you would have to be incredibly lucky to go your whole life and not be insecure about something. But sometimes people just see you as this incredibly strong and confident and resilient person. They don't see that anything could have ever got you down. So they are shocked when they find out, like, if you're open to people, if you are sort of able to express yourself a bit more vulnerably, and you say to your friends, like, oh, I've always been insecure about XYZ, your friends are very shocked. They're like, wow, I would have never thought that, pal two. You seem so confident all the time. I would have never thought that you get down about XYZ, that you think about that. Like, honestly, it just wouldn't have crossed my mind because you come across as so bold, so fearless. They just think of you as somebody who has no insecurities. It could also be that because maybe sometimes, pal two, don't shout at me, but I feel like you could be somebody who struggles with emotional vulnerability. And a lot of this lack of being emotionally vulnerable, it might just come from a place of you. And I know this is going to sound weird because I know like Leo is associated with like drama, a flair for drama, and things like that. But it could be that you don't want to be dramatic. It feels like you having an open conversation about some of the things that you've been through would be like too dramatic. So sometimes you just don't bring it up, or you make a joke at your own expense about like the potential traumatic situations that you have been in. And it's like you don't want to be fully emotionally vulnerable. So you might sort of bring up those topics via means of a joke or by being funny or something. And I think again, it comes back to this feeling of like a lot of what you have been through, it really does shock people. Like it does leave people speechless because it's a lot. And I think you don't treat it as if it's a lot because you don't want to be dramatic. But I honestly think like it's okay to be emotionally vulnerable. You might feel as though, you know, if you tell people certain things that they will use it against you or they will hurt you or something like that. But not everyone will, pal two. Not everyone is here to hurt you. I know it can feel that way sometimes, but the right people, they don't mind you expressing yourself emotionally. They don't mind you opening up. And it's also okay to like do that, and you don't have to make a joke about it. By all means, if you feel more comfortable doing that, then you do whatever you need to do in order to articulate yourself. But don't feel like you have to sort of undermine the things that have happened to you because you don't want to make the people around you feel bad, or you don't want to make the people around you have a bad time. Sometimes it's not about them, sometimes it's about you getting the advice and support that you need. So that was just a kind of little side note that was coming through. Don't take it if it doesn't resonate, but that might be for a minority of people watching or listening. When we talked about like transformation earlier, I feel like people are definitely surprised by the amount of things that you are willing to just step into and do. If you are somebody who has like dealt with insecurities or low confidence issues in the past or anything like that, I think people are quite surprised by how adventurous you are willing to be and how you are able to dive headfirst into your passions, into your creative interests with this Ace of Wands. I think people are also very surprised by how optimistic you still manage to be despite some of the things that you've been through. I think people love your enthusiasm, especially when they find out that, you know, things haven't always been easy for you or something like that. It's like, wow, pal two shows up and they're always so enthusiastic. They have a lot of get up and go, they have a lot of drive. They just go after the things they want, and it's like they're extremely passionate about whatever they're doing. And I think it also surprises people that you make them reflect on their life and the discontent that they might feel. Like maybe they look at you and you surprise them by doing something different, by going after a new hobby or a new project or a new job or something like that, and putting your all into your goals in that way. So it's like you reflect back to them sometimes the things that they're lacking. So they might sit back and be like, you know what, pal two has really just shown me by being so passionate about their projects, they have shown me that I am lacking in this certain aspect of my life. I am not happy with this one aspect of my life. So it's kind of like you force them to transform their lives because your enthusiasm and your optimism is quite infectious, I think. So it's almost like you shock people by inspiring them to take action in their own life in the areas that they aren't feeling as contented by as what they could be. With the 10 of coins, I'm getting a couple of different messages. This one, again, might apply to only like a handful of people, but it could be that certain people in your life are surprised that you are married or you have a family or you have children or something like that. And this could be the case, like if you were ever the kind of person where you said like I never want kids and that felt like a sort of definitive thing for you or something like that. It could be that the people who you said that to are shocked when they find out that actually you did go on to have children or you had a family. Equally, it could be something like you saying I want to be single forever, like I don't want to get married. And it could be that people are now shocked to find out that you are married or you are thinking of getting married or starting a family or something like that. That might apply to, like anyone who's gotten engaged recently or anyone who's had a baby or who has entered the next phase of their life in that kind of way. It could be that there's a group of people who are shocked by your decision to do whatever you've done in that way. Now, it could also be that because you are so driven, because you go after what you want, pal, too, it could also be that you have got to a place where you are more financially abundant and people are shocked to know that this hasn't always been the case and that you've had to work very, very hard for it or something like that. It could be that people assume that you come from an affluent background or that you're privileged in some way when, a lot of your achievements, a lot of the financial success that you have achieved, it has come down to your own hard work, your own ability to get yourself to that place, to be successful in that way. I don't know why, and again, this is probably only going to relate to like one person watching or something like that, but it could be that people will be shocked to learn who your ancestors are. So it could be that you are linked, like one of your ancestors is somebody who is known, somebody who was in the public eye or something like that, or who was famous in some way. And maybe there is a link between you and this person. So maybe people were shocked to know about that or something. Your heritage, there is something about your heritage maybe that is shocking to people. Maybe people assume you were from one certain part of the world, but actually it was a different part or something like that. It could even be that people are shocked about like your ethnic background or something like that. It doesn't have to be the case, it might only apply to one or two people. It could just be that people have made assumptions about your heritage, your background, or your ethnic background, or something like that, and they have been shocked when they find out that they had been wrong about that. That is what I am getting for the tarot portion of your reading, pal, too. We are just going to finish this reading up with a little bit of guidance from the Moonology Oracle deck. So please bear with me and we'll have a look at what you got. Okay, pal, too, let's have a look at what you got. So we got Don't Let Pride Get in Your Way, full moon in Leo. How many times do we want to say Leo in this reading? So I know Leo can be associated with, like being prideful, but I don't necessarily think that you are prideful unnecessarily. I don't think you're the kind of person who boasts unnecessarily or anything like that. But I think with this Don't Let Pride Get in Your Way card, I think it kind of comes down to what we were saying when we were looking at the Page of Cups in reverse and about you maybe struggling to be like fully emotionally vulnerable with certain people. I think this pride thing can come from a little bit of a place of ego when you aren't able to fully open yourself up to people due to like the perception, people perceiving you as weak or something like that. Maybe you don't want to say certain things, maybe you don't want to fully express how you truly feel because maybe you think like, well, people see me as this fun, confident, courageous person, this person who is able to have a good time, who makes jokes. And if I say something that is more raw, if I talk more about my trauma in a more serious way, people won't enjoy that. People won't want to be around me, or people will no longer see me in that light that they did. But what I actually think, pal, too, is that nobody would ever see you as weak for the things you have been through. If anything, people would only see you as having more strength. It's okay to be upset about things, and it's okay to admit that. It does not make you weak, it makes you a human being who sometimes needs to process their emotions and sometimes needs to vent. And it is okay to act as if nothing is bothering you if it actually isn't bothering you. But if things are bothering you, don't let your ego tell you that it is not okay for you to voice those things. It does not make you weak or emotional or anything like that. You have the ability to articulate yourself in such an impressive way that actually surprises people. But sometimes, when it comes to your emotions, like showing that more emotional side, you might try to sort of make a joke about it as a defense mechanism. But I think this is your pride stopping you from being fully vulnerable and open. And sometimes you need to do that. And sometimes that's the thing that kind of strengthens our connection with ourselves and with other people. With this being the full moon as well, full moons can talk about a culmination of something. So it could be that, this is advising you to not bottle things up. Yes, your ability to go from strength to strength, despite everything you've been through, is amazing. It's definitely something that surprises people. But equally, you don't have to always put other people and their comfort level above the things that you need to say. So don't ever feel like, oh, I can't voice such and such a thing because I would be ruining the party. Like, this would be a less fun time if I were to articulate myself and what I'm truly feeling. Your feelings should never be put on the back burner at the expense of your mental health. Like, don't let things build up, don't let them reach a point where things feel as though they're about to explode because you haven't managed to articulate what you truly want to say. So, this is basically just advising you to keep showing up as that brave and courageous person, but don't be afraid of vulnerability, don't be afraid of true intimacy. Don't be afraid of expressing yourself to other people. Don't feel like you can't be supported by other people and don't feel like you can't open up. Because I think it would shock you how many people would be willing to listen to you and support you, and how many people would also open up to you and talk about their experiences. That is what I have got for you, pal, too. I really, really hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did enjoy the reading, please like the video, please comment, and if at all possible, please subscribe. All of that would mean the absolute world to me, and I would appreciate it so, so much. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Hi, Pal 3 Collective. Welcome to your reading. If you chose this blue mushroom and you chose Pal 3, this will be your reading. This reading is all about how you shock people, how you leave them shook. This is all about how you surprise people, how you leave them speechless. If you would like more information regarding what this reading entails, then please take a look at the description below or have a look at the pinned comment below. There will be further information regarding this reading there. But without much more hesitation, we are about to get started. I do just want to thank everyone so, so much for being here. I noticed every single like, every single comment, and every single subscriber, and I am so, so grateful for all of you. Really appreciate you being here. And with that said, if you like my style of content, if you want to see more of these kinds of videos, but you haven't yet liked, you haven't yet commented, and you haven't yet subscribed, please consider doing that. All of that would mean the absolute world to me, and I would just appreciate it so, so much. And with that said, I also want to make sure that I am making the kind of content that you guys like. So if you have a suggestion for a video idea going forward, I am more than happy to take your suggestions on board. So just let me know if there's anything in particular that you would like to see, and I will try my best to accommodate that. Anyway, with that little bit of an introduction out of the way, let's get started and have a look at the cards we pulled for you, Pile 3. Okay, so Pile 3 and the blue mushroom. And we have card number 36, Gratitude, Pink Rose. We have card number 8, Wings, You Never Needed Those to Fly. And we have the Raccoon and Sycamore, So I do always try to mention the numbers in each pile just in case this is further confirmation for you. So the number 36 or the number 8 could be significant to you, either or both of those numbers. This could be a synchronicity that you are seeing a lot of. Equally, it could be an age where something significant happened, or the age you are now, or an age you will be approaching in the not so distant future. Doesn't have to apply, it's just a little bit of extra confirmation if that is the case. So, the first thing that I'm getting at pile 3 in particular with this gratitude card is that people get shocked by how grateful they are to know you. And I know that sounds kind of strange, but it's like I feel as though you are a person who, when you come into people's lives and you make connections with them, I don't think they always expect that you and them will become so close. And I don't always think they can fully appreciate how much of a big impact that you will have on their life. So this could refer to friendships or romantic relationships, anything like that. It's like people don't realize how big of an impact that you will have on them, and they don't realize how grateful they are to be in your company until they have these little moments of like, oh my goodness, I'm so grateful to have pal 3 here in my life. So this could be in terms of like the advice that you are willing to offer friends, maybe how you love and support your friends. When I think of pink rose and roses in general, I always think of it being a kind of nice, kind, romantic gesture to give someone flowers, to give somebody roses. So I'm getting the impression that you are the rose to people, like you are the gift in many ways, and they are shocked by how grateful they are to have you in their life, in whatever capacity that may be. So this could refer to, the way you are there for people, the way you offer advice, the way you support people, the ways that you love people, just the way you show your love and appreciation for other people. I think it leaves people quite speechless. It's like they've never had anything like it. They've never felt so well loved. They've never felt so appreciated. And they are just so, so incredibly grateful to have you around them. I mean, this could actually be something that people notice maybe when you have left their life, like if this is in relation to a relationship ending or you having to end a friendship or something like that. It could be that people only realize how grateful they are to have known you after you have left, and then it's like they desperately want to try and get your energy back or something like that. Hopefully, the people that you have in your life currently know that they are lucky to have you and do feel grateful. It might be that when you end relationships or you have to cut off friendships with people, it's like they might want to cling on to your energy because they are suddenly realizing how grateful they are to know you, to be in your life, and it's like they want to kind of pull you back in or something like that. It could also be that people are shocked by the gratitude you express, especially if you are someone who has been through adversity and people know about this. Maybe people are very pleasantly surprised by the fact that you still show up and approach the world through like a lens of gratitude. You are still grateful to be where you are, even if it has taken a lot of struggles for you to get to the place you are or something like that. It could be that people are like, wow, pal 3 shows up with so much gratitude. They approach life through this grateful lens. They are not somebody who, complains necessarily about all of the hardships they've been through. Even if you have like a right to complain, they still very much appreciate the small things. Maybe you are somebody who really comes across as appreciating the small things, and people find your willingness to express gratitude for those things and people around you very endearing. They find it a really pleasantly surprising trait. I think generally your absence is very much felt by people. They get this sort of shock to the system if you were to leave their life. That's all I can say, really. Your absence is felt, and I think it makes them realize, how grateful they are to have had you in any capacity or something like that. Maybe unfortunately, people have only realized how much you do or have done for them once you leave their life. And then it's like they want to express this gratitude. They want to tell you all the good you have done for them, all the value you have added to their life. But in some cases, it might be too late. With the wings, you never needed those wings to fly card. I'm getting, pal 3, that people are incredibly shocked at your ability to be self reliant. and to be an independent person, and your ability to go out in the world and spread your wings metaphorically. So, unfortunately, Pile 3, it feels like in the past, certain people haven't always had as much faith in you as what they should have done. I think people are shocked by the fact that you have gone out into the world and you do your own thing. Maybe they are shocked by the fact that you are self sufficient. Maybe they are shocked by the fact you have gone and done something unconventional career wise. Maybe they are surprised by the fact you have moved out of like a small town or a small city or something like that, and you are completely self reliant, like you are not asking for anyone's support. I think this really surprises certain people. It could be that when you were younger, maybe you were a little bit more shy or reserved, maybe you struggled with like social anxiety or something like that, and you got very worried about doing things on your own and interacting in the world and sort of going out and being curious and exploring and just doing things by yourself generally. And maybe for this reason, the people around you sort of doubted your abilities, they doubted your capabilities, they didn't know whether you would be able to go out and spread your wings and do these things for yourself. I think certain people in your life kind of wanted to keep you small as well. I think certain people in your life maybe made you feel as though you had to rely on them. Maybe certain people at certain times made you feel as though you couldn't trust your own judgment, or you wouldn't be able to be independent because, you know, you have to have their knowledge, their resources, you have to rely on them for support. So we could be talking about a toxic family member here, somebody who just wanted to keep you in one particular little lane, in one particular little box. Equally, it could be, you know, toxic friends who have tried to put you down in the past, people who have tried to make you feel inferior. But I think people are shocked to know that you have always had this self confidence and this ability to go and spread your wings within you. You have never needed anybody else. And I think the fact you have gone out and you have done whatever it is you're doing, whether that just be a hobby, like putting yourself out there on social media, engaging with your hobbies, whether you have moved out of your city or even the country, whatever you're doing it independently, you're doing it successfully, you're proving that you don't have to rely on anybody else for support. And I think that shocks a lot of people. People didn't expect this from you. I think you had a few people in your life at one point or another who really wanted to keep you small. They wanted to keep you down in many ways, and you are proving that you don't need their validation. You don't need anybody's validation. And I think that has come as quite a surprise to certain people. And of course, like I'm sure you have many people in your life who are incredibly happy for you and they're happy to see you thriving. And they're like, wow, Pal 3 is really doing amazing, like good for them. But equally, I think you have some people who are a bit resentful because they just never expected this from you. And now it's like you're going and you're proving people wrong. I'm getting the phrase like proving people wrong. So whatever it is you're doing, you have some people who, you know, they are shocked by it. They just didn't expect this from you. They thought that you would always remain in this one certain energy. And maybe that was an energy of at one point feeling a little bit downtrodden, or like you are relying on somebody else. Like if you were stuck in a toxic relationship of some kind with a partner or with a friendship circle or anything like that, or you were stuck in a job or something. It could even be, yeah, like a toxic work colleague, like a manager or something. Maybe you had a manager at some point who essentially like treated you like crap and made you feel as though like this one sort of dead end job was the only job you would ever get. Maybe they put loads of rubbish shifts on you. Maybe they just gave you all of the hard work and it felt like at certain points they were picking on you or something like that. And maybe they made you feel like maybe you put up with it if you were a bit more of a socially anxious person and it was your first job or something like that. This is just one example, by the way. It doesn't have to apply, but take it in whatever context, you know, applies to you. But if it was like your first job or something, maybe it felt as though you had to do all those things and it just got too much and eventually you quit. And maybe this person like made you feel as though you would never get another job, or like, oh, you're just not self-reliant or independent enough to be able to do this job. You're just not capable. Like treating you as if you're a baby or something, like as if you were childish for not wanting to take on all of that extreme amount of labor, when really that hasn't been the case. You have proved that you can go off and be independent and do your own thing, and it is so shocking for many people, but in a very good way for you. I think you had a lot of people who doubted your abilities in the past and they thought, you know, Pal 3 will never go out and accomplish that. Pile 3 will always rely on this person or this thing. They will never be able to go after their dreams. And I just feel as though you are definitely proving them wrong in the energy that you're in, and it is coming as a massive shock. With this curiosity card and the raccoon showing up, it's making me think that people are very surprised by how curious you are and maybe how open-minded you are or something like that. Maybe when people first meet you, they might make a judgment and expect you to have certain fixed opinions on a topic, and maybe then they are surprised when they actually have a conversation with you and they learn that you are intensely curious and open-minded. And as well, if in the past you have struggled with like trying new things because of social anxiety or mental health issues or something like that, and if people have doubted that you would be able to go out and try new things for this reason, it could come back to that people are surprised that you are actually willing to go and explore the world. You're willing to try out different hobbies. Maybe it's the case that you are expanding your knowledge through higher education. So this could be you going and doing a course to expand your skill set, or going to university, to college, or something like that. People are surprised by your ongoing thirst for knowledge and just remaining curious in all aspects of life. And if you did previously struggle with like trying new things, this could even be like learning a skill such as driving or something like that. If you are somebody who is like put off learning to drive due to anxiety surrounding that or something, it could be that people are surprised that you are proving them wrong by going and remaining open-minded and curious and learning new skills in that way as well. It could also be that people are sort of surprised by your playful or mischievous nature, because I always feel like raccoons are really mischievous in that way. So it could be that you surprise people by playing silly little jokes, like harmless jokes, but silly little jokes or pranks on them or something like that. And you like to surprise people with your ability to do little pranks. And it has just been April Fool's Day at the time of me recording this. So maybe you have played a prank on someone recently and you have surprised them or something like that. I'm not sure why that's coming through, but it could just be because it has just been April Fool's and I pranked my partner on April Fool's Day as well. So maybe I'm just thinking of that and kind of projecting, but I don't know, that's just coming through. So maybe some of you have a little bit of a playful streak. And again, I think this is something that people find endearing, but it also kind of pleasantly surprises them. I'm also getting the phrase like, I don't know why, with curiosity and gratitude. And when we were talking about your grateful nature, like you being grateful for things regardless of like what you may or may not have been through, with the raccoon coming through, it always makes me think of, obviously because raccoons go through trash and things like that and they'll eat sort of whatever they find. I'm not saying that you are like that, like I'm not saying that you will eat whatever you find or anything like that, literally, but I just mean like it's reminding me of the phrase, one man's trash is another man's treasure, or something like that. So the things that we throw out and raccoons go and eat, they find some use for it. It makes me think that maybe people are surprised by your resourcefulness and your ability to turn trash into treasure or something like that. So this could be your ability to make a bad situation into like a good situation, or a situation to be grateful for, or a opportunity to grow and learn. People could be very pleasantly surprised by your ability to make the best of bad situations or something like that. With this being like the wings card and talking about flying, I am getting something for some of you about literally traveling. So this could be you going on a solo journey, like traveling independently, and that being really inspiring to people actually in a way that shocks them. Obviously that might only apply for a couple of people, but it could be that, you have set an example to other people who might be socially anxious or shy or something like that and be worried about doing things on their own, like not waiting for a partner to be available to go and do things. So it could be something to do with traveling, just going out on your own in some capacity, doing something differently to the other people around you, and really thriving in that arena. So that is what I am getting when I look at these oracle cards, pile 3. We are just going to roll the astro dice to get a little bit of further confirmation. So please bear with me and we'll do that. Okay, pile 3. So we have Neptune. We have Neptune here. I'll try and show you that. Neptune, we have Gemini, and we have the second house. So with Neptune showing up, and this being associated with Piscean energy, it could be that Pisces is a significant or prominent placement for you. It doesn't have to be. Obviously, we also have Gemini, that could be significant, or the second house, which I believe is ruled by Taurus. This could be significant to you. Again, doesn't have to be. It's all just further confirmation if that does apply. But what I was going to say with this Pisces coming through, it's like I think people maybe got this incorrect impression of you, that you are maybe too much of a dreamer to actually put anything into action, to sort of work towards solid goals for yourself. Maybe they see you as, somebody who dreams big, but somebody who wouldn't necessarily go after what they wanted. But I feel like in this current energy you're in, you have definitely proved them wrong. And actually with the second house showing up, it's making me feel as though maybe you are starting to receive material or financial reward or benefit for something you are doing, and you are proving that actually like you have made your dreams into a reality or something like that. If you have not yet been receiving financial reward for a project you are working on, this could be an indication that, if you do have a dream, a goal in mind, and it involves you being financially compensated for something that you are doing, this could be a sign that that might be something that is on the horizon for you, and you are about to shock everybody by proving them wrong or something like that. On the shadow side of like Pisces and Neptune energy, it can be sort of labeled delusional. And obviously, I'm not saying you're delusional or anything like that. I mean, I think a healthy amount of delulu is absolutely fine. I think we all need a bit of that. But I'm not saying that you are delusional or anything like that. I just think that people have interpreted you as dreaming too big, or you not having the sort of action plan to be able to back up some of the things you want to do in the world. Maybe people perceived you as somebody who just talked about doing certain things but never actually did them. And maybe for a time this was you, like maybe because Neptune can also talk about like hidden energy as well. It's associated with the 12th house, which is all about like secrets and what is hidden. So it could be that the side of you who, was able to take action and go after a goal consistently, this was like hidden from other people. And now you are proving them wrong. Again, I keep getting that phrase. So it's like it's come as a big shock that you are actually able to go after the things you want to go after. This wasn't all just like a pipe dream. It wasn't something that you were thinking about and not taking action on. You are actually very capable of, doing something in the material world, because this second house is just, it's making me think of something physical, tangible, something that you are doing. People could be shocked by your ability to be practical and grounded, to work consistently. People could be shocked by how stable you are now. And I know that sounds weird, but if you ever have like struggled with mental health issues or anxiety or like social anxiety, and people once felt as though, you would have to rely on them forever or something like that, even if this was just their own projection, it's like people are shocked by how stable you are now and how much you've been willing to invest in yourself, and you haven't necessarily needed anyone else. You have been quite self-reliant, and I think, it has come as a surprise to many people. I don't think they were expecting this from you. Maybe you have recently chosen to invest in something, and maybe people perceived this as like, oh, pile 3 is going after this dodgy investment, like that's not going to pay off. Maybe people doubted it, and maybe that investment is starting to pay off or something like that. I know that might only apply to a few people, but it's like people really doubted you, and now they're seeing that actually, maybe your idea wasn't the worst thing in the world. Maybe you weren't being delusional. Maybe there was sense to what you were actually saying. Maybe it was coming from a place of being grounded and logical, but people maybe didn't realize that at the time. And with Gemini coming through as well, I'm getting that maybe people are shocked by these two sides of you, and especially if this more sort of Taurus, grounded, stable side has been coming out more recently. Maybe this has just come with you maturing more, like if you are getting into your mid-20s or something like that and your brain is fully developed. Maybe this is you taking more solid, grounded action in your life. And it's not that you have lost that dreamy nature, that ability to be in that Pisces energy, to dream big. it's not like that is lost, but you have these two sides of you, and it shocks people that you can be both things. I think your intelligence, because Gemini is associated with Mercury, I think your intelligence also shocks people because, you know, if you do approach life in this sort of dreamy Piscean energy, maybe people just perceive you as like a little bit ditzy or a little bit head in the clouds or something like that. And when they find out that actually you are incredibly intelligent and you have a lot of logic to back up what you're saying, it could be that people are quite surprised by this. So it's like once they get talking to you and they realize that you have some really genuinely good ideas, maybe that surprises them. It could also surprise people how social you are currently. Like if you are doing anything on social media, for example, but you used to struggle with like social anxiety or you used to struggle with putting yourself out there, it could be that people are very shocked by this new social side of you, this ability to talk to anyone, to communicate fluently, to express yourself in a way that is very articulate and a way that comes across as a lot more confident than what people perceived you as, I think. Gemini is sometimes also associated with being like playful and youthful, so it's reminding me of what we got in the oracle portion of the reading when we got the raccoon and we spoke about that playful energy. So it could be, again, like something to do with you being a little bit of a trickster recently, or you being more jokey, more jovial, or just pranking people or something like that. It could also be with youthfulness coming through. It could be that people are shocked when they find out your age. Like maybe people think you look younger than what you actually are or something like that because you approach the world in this very like playful energy. So it could be something to do with that as well. So that is what I am getting with the Astro Dice Pile 3. We are about to move on to the tarot portion of your reading. I really hope you're enjoying the reading so far. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the tarot portion. Hi Pile 3 Collective, welcome back to the tarot portion of your reading. Without hesitation, let's just get started and have a look at the cards we pulled for you. Okay, we have the Ace of Swords, we have the Six of Wands, we have Judgment in reverse, we have the Eight of Coins, we have the Eight of Cups, we have the Magician, we have the Two of Cups, and we have the Ace of Cups. Okay, Pile 3. So what I am getting with your reading is that you had people in your life, Pile 3. I don't know whether you still do, but you have definitely had people around in the past or just people observing you that have been doubtful about what you can actually achieve. And I think maybe their opinions have contributed to some of the negative self-talk that you might have had in the past. And I think you are overcoming this energy, this negative self-talk. However, I definitely think that these people, these negative opinions have had an impact on you at one point or another and have resulted in a lot of self-doubt with this Judgment in reverse. Judgment in reverse can often refer to self-loathing, and obviously everyone's individual situation is going to be different, but I know if you have ever struggled with mental health issues or anything like that, it could be that you have battled some self-worth issues in the past, and maybe you have struggled to remain consistent in the projects that you want to go after. Perhaps you have always been a big dreamer, but maybe you haven't always put your ideas into action consistently because you've had people around you who weren't fully supporting you. They were doubtful of you. Maybe you had people who always made you feel bad. Like when you would start a project, it could be that often you struggled to see a project through to completion, and therefore like people always put you down. If you would start a project, they would say like, well, what's the point, Pile 3? You're never going to get where you need to be with this idea. This idea is silly, like don't be ridiculous, you are never going to be able to achieve these big dreams. Or they might say something like, you can never stick to something. Maybe I'm getting for some reason like something about you getting a diagnosis, and I'm getting like a lot of ADHD kind of energy with this pile. And if you don't have ADHD and if you don't identify with that label, then you don't have to take that. Like if it doesn't apply for you, it doesn't apply for you. But I'm getting like this juxtaposition of like a lot of creative energy, but also a lot of feeling as though you have nowhere to put it and feeling as though you struggle with direction, like directing that energy into something productive. I get the impression, Pal 3, that you're somebody who could literally overthink about something all day, and like the day passes you by and you're like, whoa, where did all that time go? I haven't managed to do anything. But I think this is something you are really working on, and especially, you know, if you are now getting like the support you need, if you have had an ADHD or any kind of diagnosis of some kind, if you are now feeling like, well, maybe there was a reason that I struggled with these certain things, and it's not as an excuse, but it's you telling yourself, like, you know, this is the reason why I struggled, but this is how I want to overcome it. It could be that you've had people in your life for a long time who haven't allowed you to get the help you need. So this could be like family members who don't think like ADHD exists or something like that, and they think you just need to try harder. And not realizing that it is actually a neurological difference or something like that. It could have been them undermining your struggles and just putting it down to you being like lazy or you not being very willing to try hard or something like that. And this could have led you to internalizing a lot of those criticisms. And you know, maybe that made you not willing to really go out and try certain things because you always felt like there would be this rejection. You always felt as though, you know, you couldn't do things independently because you struggled with so much of the social anxiety due to the negative criticisms that people had given you in the past or something like that. But I'm really getting that this is such a beautiful energy, because whatever you are doing, Pal 3, you are really, really proving people wrong. You are stopping them in their tracks, and this is how you are shocking them. It's like with this Ace of Cups, and we will talk about that more in a few minutes because it can kind of have multiple meanings, but in relation to you and the relationship that you have with yourself, this Ace of Cups could imply that due to this newfound knowledge regarding yourself and your needs, and especially if it relates to like a disability of some kind and finding out more about that, this Ace of Cups symbolizes an emotional awakening or like a spiritual awakening of some kind. So it could be that this emotional moment has finally given you the clarity you need to be able to get your life in order and to be able to go out and do the things that you want to do independently. And it's actually come as a massive shock to people that you have managed to be consistent in whatever project it is that you are working on. Because with this Six of Wands as well, you know, this can often talk about like a lack of recognition, and maybe in the past, because you have been like so put down by other people, maybe a lack of recognition or a lack of reward would have made you shut down. It would have made you be like, well, you know what, I give up on this project, it's not getting me anywhere. But perhaps this new sort of grateful energy that you are in, if that applies, it's made you be like, well, I'm not necessarily focusing on the material rewards. I'm focusing on my emotional development and what is good for me. I do feel like you have always been a creative person with this Ace of Cups. However, it's like you are putting that creativity into actual action. You are not just like daydreaming and doing bits of creativity here and there. You are remaining consistent with something, and that is really shocking certain people because they just didn't expect you to have this level of a glow up. They didn't expect you to be able to stick to something the way that you have. And it's like you might not necessarily be receiving the financial rewards for it just now, but I think this praise is incoming. It's something that's going to happen in the future. And it's like you've stuck to something because you know in your heart that it aligns with like your soul, your purpose, and what you want to do. And that is why you stuck to it. You've not concentrated on getting validation or acclaim from anyone else. And this has honestly done you wonders. But it's also something that has left people kind of shook because they're like, wow, like I've never seen Pal 3 in this energy before, going after what they want so consistently, working towards something so solidly. And the Ace of Swords also kind of backs up what we're saying as well. So, you know, this can talk about clarity, like a breakthrough of some kind. So it's like whatever breakthrough you have gotten in terms of developing that internal wisdom regarding yourself has really challenged you to take a look at yourself, the things that you want to do and achieve, and you are doing something differently this time. And I think that is what is shocking people. Maybe you went through a period of time where, you know, if you were struggling with these mental health issues or you didn't have a diagnosis for something and you were just struggling, you were trying to get by, but nothing was ever working. It's like maybe you would do these projects and then you would give up, but now you are in a completely different energy. You are laser focused on your goals and you are really putting in consistent action towards making those goals happen for you. So people are shocked and impressed by your level of focus, the level of concentration you are able to put into your projects at the moment, and especially with this magician card showing up as well. You are shocking people with the amount of willpower that you have. You are not letting anything get in your way. You are realizing that you are able to shift your life into whatever you want it to be with focus, with concentration, with steadily going after a goal. And you are also willing to sort of mix potions as well with this magician. Like, you are willing to try different things, try and concoct different potions in order to see which result will be the most beneficial for you. But you are shocking people by not giving up and remaining consistent and being in that resourceful energy. And this Eight of Coins as well just kind of backs up what we're saying. You are mastering something at the moment. So you are not like starting a project, learning a little bit about it, getting fed up, getting bored, and moving on to the next project. You are in your Eight of Coins, mastering something energy. So you are, again, like remaining consistent, driven towards developing a certain skill. You are really dedicating a lot of time to something. You are making sure that something is high quality before you put it out into the world. So if this is like a creative project you're working on or anything like that, you are essentially making sure you are being a lot more perfectionist with it than whatever you have been in the past. And you are not doing that with the intention of seeking validation. You are doing it with the intention of you wanting to live up to your own standards, the high standards that you have set for yourself. You're not bothered about what anybody says or thinks about it, but your commitment to this goal, this project, this cause has really shocked people because they have never seen you in this energy of being so dedicated in terms of going after what you want and achieving all your desires. With this Eight of Cups, I'm getting that people get shocked when you walk away. So maybe you have walked away from something or somebody. Maybe, this is this toxic family member or friend or an ex-partner who we were talking about, but you have walked away and this person or this group of people is shocked because they never expected that from you. They thought that you were reliant on them. They thought that you would always seek their approval, that you wouldn't be able to go out and do these things for yourself and do things on your own. And you have shocked them tremendously by just saying, nope, like, bye, bitch. Like, you are just walking away and you are feeling incredibly good for it as well. Like, you are confident about your choices. I think they are very shocked that you are no longer in this energy of, relying on them and seeking their approval. You're just not doing it anymore. Okay, pile 3. So at first, I thought this Two of Cups just didn't really have a place in this reading. I wasn't sure if this really applied to your reading, but I definitely think it could actually mean a couple of things. So obviously, with it being the Two of Cups, this could talk about your dual natures coming together, like the two sides of you, the dreamy side, the person who is creative, who dreams big but struggles to put things into action, and the more stable, practical, logical, grounded side of you. It could talk about those two sides coming together and you shocking people by allowing both of those sides to shine. So it's you, like, not just dreaming about something, not just having a pipe dream, but you putting things into action consistently over a period of time, and this shocking people. Now, it could also be that because you have gone through this like tremendous glow up period and you are really stepping into your own, you have been developing your self-confidence, you are feeling less insecure, you aren't relying on other people. It could be that you are developing a close bond with somebody who is shocked by their feelings for you. Like, if this is in a romantic context, it doesn't have to be, it could be like a friendship or something, but if this is in a romantic context, it could be like somebody is shocked by the level of feelings that they have for you so quickly. And this does happen when we are really working on ourselves, or when we have done that work and when we are no longer relying on people for validation. It's like people who are better for us might gravitate towards us. So it could be that somebody has a bit of a crush on you at the moment and they are shocked by how quickly they have developed these feelings or something like that. Like, they feel a really strong and close connection to you, and maybe to them it feels as though it's been a shock because it's been out of the blue or something like that. But if it's not somebody who you are talking to, like somebody who has a crush, this could just be like your dual nature, like the two sides of you or something like that. That is what I am getting for you, pile 3. We are just going to close this reading by looking at a card from the Moonology Oracle just for a little bit of closing advice and guidance. So please bear with me and we'll see which card we pulled for you. Okay, pile 3, let's have a look. So we got a new start is coming, new moon. So what did I tell you, pile 3? A new start is definitely on the horizon for you. So this could be in terms of, you know, a relationship, somebody who is very much shocked by the feelings that they have developed for you. However, this could just be you continuing to develop that new version of you. And honestly, I don't feel like at this point in the reading, given what we said, I don't think there's much advice I could give you because I think you have already done a tremendous amount of work. All I can say is that it is definitely surprising people. This new start, I think, you know, maybe all I can say, if you haven't yet received some kind of reward for your labor, you have been working hard, you have been being consistent with a project. If a part of you is worrying, like because of your previous, you know, periods of having self-doubt or insecurity or something like that, if a small part of you is worrying about whether or not it's the right thing, this is maybe here to tell you that your new start could be you receiving some kind of reward for the labor that you have been putting in, like you starting to see results from that. And it just feels like this new fresh start. I also feel as well like this could refer to you again, like learning more about yourself, continuing to learn, especially, you know, if you have got a diagnosis or you're seeking a diagnosis or something like that. I think this is telling you to sort of remain as positive as you can do. And I think you definitely have been working on developing your self-confidence and being more positive and talking to yourself more kindly, because I definitely think that is something that you have had to learn. Like, I think negative self-talk has become quite natural to you at certain points in your life. So maybe that is something you are working on, just being more gentle and kind and nicer to yourself and realizing that, you know, you weren't necessarily lazy, you just weren't supported by the right people. But now you are learning to support yourself, you are learning to be self-sufficient and independent, and each day is a new day to learn and grow more. So that is what I'm getting for you, pile 3. I really, really hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did enjoy the reading, please like the video, please comment, and if at all possible, please subscribe. All of that would mean the absolute world to me, and I would appreciate it so, so much. Thank you, pile 3, and I'll see you in the next one. Hi Pile 4 Collective, welcome to your reading. If you chose the pink mushroom and you chose Pile 4, this will be your reading. This reading is all about what about you leaves people shook, what leaves people shocked and surprised, what leaves them speechless. This reading is going to cover all of that. If you would like further details regarding what this reading will entail, then please look at the pinned comment below or look at the description. That will give you some more information regarding this reading. But without much more hesitation, I am about to get started. I just want to take this opportunity to thank you so, so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. I notice every single like, every single comment, and every single subscriber, and I am so, so grateful for you all being here in whatever capacity. And if you do like my style of content, if you want to see more but you haven't yet liked, you haven't yet subscribed, or you haven't yet commented, please do any of the above. That would mean the absolute world to me, and I would just appreciate it so much. With that said, your feedback is very valuable to me, so if there is a particular video, a particular style of content that you would like to see, if there is a topic you would like me to cover, then please let me know. I'm very much open to suggestions. With all of that said, let's get started and have a look at the cards we pulled for you, Pile 4. Okay, so we've got the pink mushroom, and we have got card number 21, Trust. We have got card number 26, Feather, Think First Before You Judge. And we have got the Horse and Bluebell, Modest Fortitude. Okay, pile 4. So I am getting one thing that shocks other people about you, that leaves them speechless, is actually how much they can trust you, how much they can rely on you. I really get the sense that people are surprised that they can really trust you with their secrets, that they can open up to you. It could be that people sometimes find themselves trusting you with information quite quickly. So you could be the kind of person where like you don't know people that well, let's say colleagues or something like that, and you find yourself just randomly listening to like their life story, and they kind of, I don't want to say trauma dump, but they can kind of open up to you without really realizing that they have done it. I think maybe you are the kind of person without really realizing, maybe due to your eye contact or you having like a trusting face or trusting eyes, trusting features in some way. It could be that you just allow people a safe space in order for them to express their innermost secrets, I want to say. So this is giving me like a little bit of Scorpio energy. It is also giving me, I'm getting like earth sign energy, like Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus from these cards in particular. Because on the one hand, I'm getting that sometimes people tell you things quite easily without really realizing, and they are surprised by how much they can trust you. But also, to a degree, I'm getting that some people, like this could be more toxic people, but some people are surprised by the fact that they can trust you, as in they made a completely incorrect judgment about you when they first met you. And I think that's where this think before you judge card comes into play. Oh, as well, I just want to mention before I forget, in every pile I mentioned the numbers on the cards. So 21 or 26 could be significant numbers to you. This could be an age you are currently or an age that was significant to you if you have already passed this age. It could also be a synchronicity that you are seeing a lot of, like if you are seeing 2121 or 2626 or something like that. That is just a little bit of extra confirmation. It doesn't have to be the case, just please bear that in mind. I'm getting powerful that you have been the recipient of some inaccurate judgments and some criticisms, and perhaps people projecting their belief system onto you. And by looking at the imagery on this card, I'm actually getting like a real girl's girl energy from you, Pal 4. You don't have to identify with being a woman, but there is just something about you that people get so wrong, because I think it could even be like due to your appearance or due to the way you carry yourself. I think people have made judgments about you that are just not based in reality. I think it is based on people's own insecurities. So, what I mean by that is, if you are a very attractive woman and you carry yourself in a certain way, it could be that you come across, and this could even be due to the fact that maybe you are a little bit reserved when you first meet people, especially if you have like more of that earth sign energy or that secretive Scorpio energy or anything like that. It could be that you can come across as reserved and you can hold a lot of your feelings back, or people can't necessarily read you very easily. So on one hand, it's like you're this mystery, and I think that is very, very attractive to many people. And for some people, it lures them in and it enables them to trust you very easily and to open up to you very easily. But other people who aren't in their best energy, who aren't in their glow up era, let's say, who are projecting their insecurities onto you, they take this sort of blank slate because you haven't necessarily given them anything yet, and they project onto it their beliefs about themselves. So they might be saying things about you like, oh, Pal 4 is so stuck up, Pal 4 is up their own behind, essentially. Pal 4 looks down on us. And this could also be like, I'm getting something with the horse and bluebell and it says modest fortitude. I'm getting something about like maybe you dressing modestly or something like that. And I just want to clarify this a bit further by saying, whatever anybody wants to wear is their business. I do not care what anyone wears. I don't think women should ever be shamed from wearing whatever they want to. Like, I just really don't care. I hate when people have that mentality of, you know, like women are asking for it by dressing a certain way, like they're asking for sexual harassment, essentially. It's just gross. I hate it. Regardless of whether you dress modestly or you dressed immodestly, in the eyes of society, you do not deserve sexual harassment. You deserve to live in peace. I am a woman who is attracted to women myself, and if I can keep my eyeballs in my head and not sexually harass someone, I think everyone else should be able to too. Like, there is no excuse. People's actions are on them. So I just want to clarify that by, I'm not saying like you are better than these other people if you dress modestly or anything like that. But I think if you choose to dress like a certain way where you're more covered up or something like that, it's like maybe people who don't dress in that way feel as though you are judging them for not adhering to a certain outfit style or a certain aesthetic, and you're really, really not. Like, I think you are 100% a girl's girl. You dress in the way that feels most comfortable to you, but you are not judging anyone else in regards to what they choose to wear. Like, I think you would hype people up. I think you would hype, if you are a girl, I think you would hype other girls up. Like, I'm just getting this with like this card of her being like supported by this group of women. I think people are very shocked to learn that you are actually very empowering and a good hype woman when it comes to hyping other women up if you do identify with the label of being a woman. Obviously, if you don't, if you are a man and you don't identify with that label, take it in whatever context applies to your situation, whatever context applies to your gender identity. It could be that if you are an attractive man, other men think that you think you're better than them or something like that, and they project onto you. It could work either way, so just take it in whatever way it applies. But I'm just getting the image of like certain shady people categorizing you as a threat, like rather than somebody who could be a friend. And I don't think it's fair. And I think they are shocked when they find out that actually you are not in competition with them. Like, you're not in competition with anybody other than yourself. And I think with this modest fortitude, you know, that can talk about like determination. So it could be that you are very much like quietly working towards a goal. You are working on yourself. You are trying to create and cultivate your dream life, but you don't feel the need to brag about this. Like, you don't feel the need to shout about all your accomplishments to anyone who will listen. Maybe it makes you cringe a bit when people do that. Maybe it kind of gives you like secondhand embarrassment when people feel the need to sort of prove themselves to you or to others around you. You believe on just focusing on yourself and your own goals, and you're not here to brag or to seek validation. It could be that people are shocked by the level of self-trust that you have developed. So maybe you didn't always rely on yourself as a source of sound judgment. Maybe you were at some point in your life a person who would ask for other people's opinions, and you felt this was like too much. So maybe you felt as though you couldn't make a decision and you were like, oh, should I buy this outfit? What should I do? And maybe you have really worked on developing your self-trust and your ability to make your own decisions. And this is something that is leaving people speechless, because it is empowering that you don't rely on anybody else. You seek your own answers and you go within, you look internally when you need to make a decision about something. But with that said, I don't think this has always been easy for you. I think this is something that you have worked on over time. Maybe in the past it does feel like you have relied on other people, but I think you have developed more of your own self-trust and you are secure within yourself and your own decisions. You're just relying on yourself more. And I think that surprises a lot of people. And I think it would surprise people to know that you haven't always been this way, because I think, you know, these shady people who we mentioned, they might assume that you are this ultra confident person. You've never been through anything bad. And I think you have. I think you've dealt maybe with a lot of like shady friends in the past, or just people hating on you for no reason, simply due to them seeing you as a threat, like seeing you as competition. But I'm really getting the vibe, like when I say girl's girl, I'm getting the vibe of you being someone who, like, do you know those reels that are going round where it's like, oh, the girl's girl hypes you up in front of your crush or something like that? I can imagine you being that kind of person, but sometimes people might interpret you upon a first meeting as somebody who would be the opposite, maybe because you do keep to yourself if you are quite reserved, but you are also very attractive. It's like people sometimes make a snap judgment, and it is not fair at all. And again, it's not rooted in reality. It's not based on anything that you've done. It's just based on, I think, this person feeling jealous and insecure around you because of your level of attractiveness. Maybe they don't feel as though they measure up. So they try and convince themselves that you have a bad personality because, you know, they want to convince themselves that your looks are what you have going for you or something like that. And I think these people will be surprised to learn about all your accomplishments. Like, maybe you have made a really nice and stable life for yourself through this graft, like through the hard work and determination, through that energy that you have been in with this modest fortitude. It's just that you haven't gone around bragging about all the things that you've achieved or anything like that. But yeah, if you are a girl, like talking about how you would hype another girl up in front of their crush, you would be like, oh my god, girl, your hair is so long. Oh my god, your body looks amazing. You look so good. But sometimes people get you wrong and they think that you will be like snobby, or you will be like the type to show them up in front of their crush or something like that. And that is just not you at all. But I think no matter how people have treated you, I think you have maintained your good manners. I think you have stayed aligned with your values. I don't think you have let anybody else's opinion take away from your self-trust. I think you still show up with grace because obviously horses, you know, can be quite graceful and elegant as well. And I get this really elegant vibe from you. So I think no matter how other people might have tried to put you down, no matter how they might have tried to make assumptions about you or start arguments with you needlessly, I think you have shocked them by remaining graceful and not lowering to their level. That's very much the phrase that I'm getting. You don't lower yourself to their level because their behavior is not something that you would want to engage in. You trust yourself enough to know that you would never want to act the way that they have or something like that. I think some people will always be this way with you because they don't love themselves, they don't have enough self-worth. But I think other people you have managed to shock, they have been shocked when they find out they can actually trust you and that you are like a girl's girl or something like that. I don't know, it just gives me the impression of somebody like opening up to you because at first they see you as a threat and maybe they don't want to be around you with their partner because they are insecure and they feel like you would steal their partner or something like that. And maybe you make it clear that that is not what you're about at all. You have too many morals for that. And maybe you would say something to them like, girl, listen, I do not want your partner. I actually think that you're too good for your partner. I think that you should dump them and be with me instead or something like that. Okay, not necessarily the be with me part if you are not of a sexuality that would align with that. But I think you are very much somebody who looks out for your friends. And I think certain people are shocked by this because at first they just see you as a threat. And, you know, it's not really fair. You haven't done anything to deserve people treating you that way. But I think it's simply due to your attractiveness, like how you look. People assume certain things about you. I'm also getting something about maybe people learning to trust you. Like at first, if somebody is a little bit offish with you or a bit snobby or they aren't very nice to you based on their projection, based on the perception that they have of you, I'm getting them like learning to trust you. So I don't know, I'm getting the image of like if you're at a party or a gathering together or something like that, maybe this person just avoids you, maybe you've tried to make conversation with them and they're just like giving you attitude because they think that you have the attitude even though you're not doing anything to confirm that belief. But it could be that like this person ends up getting really drunk or something like that, and maybe their friends leave them and maybe they're in the bathroom throwing up like next to the toilet or something like that, and maybe you come in and take care of them and you prove that they can trust you. And it's not that you're seeking their validation because you're honestly not bothered, it's just that you're a very good person and your values shine through. So it's like no matter who this person is, even if they've treated me badly, I'm still not going to let somebody be drunk on the bathroom floor with nobody there to help her, nobody there to hold her hair back or something like that. Like I'm still going to show up and be in alignment with my own values because that says more about me. It's not necessarily about the other person. So it could be that you shock people in that you stick to your values no matter what their behavior is, but it could also be that you then shock this person because maybe they'll say to you like, oh, I thought you were really snobby at first, or I thought you were really stuck up at first, or I thought you were a bit of a bitch at first, or something like that. And again, this is solely, I think, based on their own projections, but it's like, oh, but wow, like you're actually really kind, you're actually really a girl's girl, like you really took care of me, like I'm really grateful, and I know that I can trust you, or something like that. So that is what I'm getting for the oracle portion of your reading, powerful. We are just going to roll the astro dice. So please bear with me and we'll have a look at the astro dice that will give you a little bit of further confirmation. Okay, so we have Capricorn, which is interesting because that is the vibe that I said I was getting in the oracle. We have Capricorn. We have the moon. So that's Cancer energy with the moon. And we have the 12th house. We have the 12th house. So definitely with the Capricorn energy coming through, you might have a more reserved nature, which certain people misinterpret as you being like stuck up or you judging them or something like that. But I think people are shocked to find out that actually you have a much softer side with this moon, and that, you know, being associated with Cancer in astrology and Pisces in tarot. It's like you have this very nurturing, soft, gentle, compassionate, mothering nature. But with this 12th house coming through, I think that part of you is sometimes hidden and people are shocked when they find out about it. So this takes me back to the example, and it doesn't have to be that exact example, like if you don't go out drinking or anything like that. but the example of you like looking after the other girl in the girl's bathroom or something like that, it could be that people are very surprised when they see that side of you, because they thought that you were sat over there judging them with this Capricorn energy, but you never were. Like, they always got that wrong, but they are shocked to learn that you are so different than their initial judgment. I think you have a lot of traits that are hidden from other people with this 12th house. It's like people really have to get to know you in order to be able to get a full picture of you. People have to spend more time with you to properly get to know you. Like, it's not something where you wear your heart on the sleeve or everything is just thrown out on the surface, and people project what they want onto you, because 12th house as well, that is a very Neptune. We've had a lot of Neptune in this reading, in these readings today, but that is a very Neptunian energy. And when we talk about Neptune, we talk about like the subconscious, and we talk about other people's projections. We talk about, you know, people not necessarily being able to pinpoint your identity. So if they have self-worth issues and they feel badly about themselves, they will project this onto you. They are judging themselves, so they in turn try to make out like you are judging them. And I think they are shocked to find out when this isn't the case. Like, maybe you don't even think about them or something like that, and maybe they approach you and they're like, oh, I thought you didn't like me. And you're like, why did you think that? Because I literally don't even think about you. Like, why would you assume I don't like you? Like, I don't know. It's just this energy of like them perceiving you sometimes as standoffish, but it's just because you can be quite reserved and stoic in some instances. I think people just sometimes perceive this as you not wanting to get to know them, but again, like, this is just their own projection. It's not that you don't want to get to know them, but I think you are just very focused on developing your own sense of self, your own self-trust, and you are very focused on establishing your goals. I think with this moon coming through as well, I think people are very shocked that you have deeper emotions than what you let on. I'm not saying that you come across as emotionless or anything like that, but I think you don't let your emotions show on the surface. So I think you have been hurt by a lot of incidents in the past, but I think you never really let this show. Maybe you are like a Cancer moon with a Capricorn rising or something like that, or you have both Cancer and Capricorn in your chart. So it's kind of like this opposing energy. It's kind of a contradictory energy, and maybe people don't always see the softer, more Cancerian side of you. And then maybe when that comes out, they are quite shocked by it. I think people are also quite shocked to know that you have overcome significant struggles in your life, because, you know, Capricorn and Saturn energy can talk about, you know, climbing the mountain, overcoming struggles. It can talk about restrictions, the restrictions that are imposed on us. So it could be that like people think you're a little bit stuck up or snobby or bougie or something like that. But what they don't know is that maybe you have had to work very hard to get to that place, and you haven't always had this sense of self-assuredness that maybe you do now. Your self-trust hasn't always been this high. It is something that you have had to work towards. Maybe in the past you have had like self-esteem issues, but you have overcome them. Maybe that is one of your hurdles that you've had to get over, like with this Saturn energy coming through, and now you are very much in like a boss energy. But I think people are shocked to learn that you have ever been through hardship. I think they look at you and they think, well, Pal 4 is so attractive, they have all this going for them, and they therefore assume that you have never been through struggles when, you know, that isn't the case. So I think that's something that shocks them. And again, I think it's because you are quite reserved and you don't, you know, waffle on about your problems to anyone who will listen. People might trauma dump on you, but you don't really do it to them. So I think you keep a lot of this hidden, you keep it under the surface, and people don't really know, you know, the things you have been through until you fully open up to them about it, until they fully become your friend and you establish a relationship. So that is what I'm getting for you, Pal 4. We are about to move on to the tarot portion of your reading, so please bear with me and I'll see you in the tarot portion. Hi Pal 4 Collective, welcome back to the tarot portion of your reading. Without hesitation, let's get started and have a look at the cards we pulled for you. Okay, so we got the Hermit in reverse, we got the 9 of Swords, we got the 5 of Swords, we got the Lovers, we got the Page of Cups, we got the 3 of Cups, we got the Emperor, and we got the Queen of Swords. So powerful. A message that I'm getting, first of all, is that people are definitely surprised when they find out that you have dealt with your fair share of rejection. You have dealt with feeling on the verge of collapse. You have felt with despair. You have dealt with a lot of negative emotions, but people don't always see this from interacting with you at a surface level because, again, you don't let it show. I think you can sort of maintain this quite stoic expression. You have a lot of deeper emotions that people don't necessarily know about from first interacting with you, but you have dealt with struggle, you have been through struggle. And with this hermit in reverse, I think people will be shocked to learn that you have faced rejection. So whether this is in a romantic context or just in a social context, I think maybe you could be somebody who has dealt with social rejection due to other people's jealousy. So it could have been that in the past you found it difficult to maintain friendships with people who were genuine and authentic, people who showed up in the same energy that you do, because maybe there was a lot of jealousy, a lot of insecurity on their end. So maybe, you face rejection in the sense that, like, if you were friends with a group of people and they were always worried that you were more attractive than them, or you were going to get more attention than them, if that was something that they were concerned about, if they were quite superficial, it could be that they left you out of events, like they didn't invite you because you were too pretty or something like that. They felt as though you would take all the attention away from them. So you could have dealt with, these toxic friendship circles in the past, and it could have made you feel rejected. And I think people will be shocked to know that you have felt this sense of rejection. I think they just assume that you are so confident and that you must be confident because you're so attractive, so why wouldn't you be? So I think they think that you've never dealt with this kind of hardship. You haven't dealt with people rejecting you, and they will be shocked to learn that you go through that kind of thing just like everyone else does, and you have learned to deal with it. You have had to overcome it. You have had to develop your self-trust and develop your self-worth in order to realize that that wasn't necessarily an issue with you, because I think at certain points you did go into this hermit mode and you did deal with a lot of loneliness. You did deal with thinking like, what is wrong with me, that I can't maintain these friendships, what is going on? But I think sometimes, powerful, it's just that you maybe gravitated towards the wrong people. And maybe, because you are attractive, because you have all these wonderful, beautiful qualities, it's like people wanted to keep you around when it suited them. But maybe, when it came to them feeling insecure about bringing you out because they felt you would get attention, it's like they blew you off. They just shook you off because they didn't want someone who they felt was more attractive than them being around like potential romantic interests or something like that. Or it's like maybe when they got into a relationship, they didn't want you around their partner because they didn't trust their partner, but they made it an issue with you instead. And I think you are very much of the energy of like, you have a lot of morals and you would never want to go after someone's partner. In fact, if you are a female, I think you're very much the kind of girl who is hyping other girls up, and if their partners can't be trusted, if their partners are like not coming correct in the relationship, I think you would be like, girl, dump him kind of thing. I think you are very much in that energy of being like, you don't need to put up with that, like you can do so much better or something like that. You are all about hyping other people, but I don't think people necessarily realize this about you at first because, again, they assumed you being reserved is like you being standoffish or something like that. So I think people will be very shocked to know about the battles you have faced, like whether these are to do with anxiety, like mental health issues, or just you reaching your breaking point in some capacity. I think people would be very shocked to know that you have dealt with that because they just see you as this ultra confident person who doesn't have any insecurities. I think they will be shocked to learn that you have faced insecurities just like everybody else. I don't know why. They're obviously seeing you as a superhuman, powerful. And talking about rejection with this hermit in reverse, I'm also thinking like with this Five of Swords, I think you have definitely faced bullying and people trying to intimidate you in your life, and maybe this still goes on. And honestly, powerful, I do think a lot of it has to do with jealousy. I know I keep saying that, but it is what's coming through. I think people kind of still to this day, I think you have learned to stick up for yourself a lot more. And I think you don't necessarily bite back to people because I honestly think that you know that these people aren't worth your time if they are starting arguments with you for no reason. So you don't snap back because that's not in alignment with who you are. And I say you don't snap back, like you might if you have to, like if you're pushed to your limit with people, like you do know how to stand up for yourself, but I think you never stoop to their level. So if somebody is trying to insult your looks, because you are not a superficial person, because you have a lot of depth to you, even though there's things you could say about the way they look if you really wanted to, even though you could shut them down if you really wanted to, you will criticize that person's behavior and actions rather than resorting to petty insults, even though you could definitely have the capacity to be petty. Like you could be petty if you wanted to, and I think you would have some really funny insults if you wanted to go down the petty route, but I don't think you necessarily will unless you're pushed to your absolute limits, because I think you don't want to do anything that's not in line with your values. And I think people are shocked by the fact that they thought of you as one way and they found out you weren't that way. They found out that you aren't this judgmental person that they have made you out to be in their head. Again, this does come from a lot of insecurity on their end, their inability to see their own self-worth. I think sometimes people have invented arguments with you in their own head. And I don't know, I guess if we use the example of like people thinking that you will judge them for the outfit they are wearing or something like that. It could even be like, if it's not modesty or something like that, it could even be like if they wear clothes from a cheaper brand and you like to wear designer clothes, you might not be thinking or saying anything about their outfit. You're not saying that designer clothes are better or anyone without designer clothes looks like crap. Like you're not sitting there and saying that. But it could just be because of the brands that you wear and the brands versus the brands that they wear. It's like they feel insecure and they feel like you would be judging them. So maybe they approach you with this like hostility and they are shocked to find out that actually like you don't care. Like why would you care what this other person is wearing? I don't think you do. But it's like they'll be like, oh, sorry, pal, for that I'm not wearing, I don't even know like designer brands really, but they'll be like, oh, sorry, pal, for I'm not wearing Gucci like you or something like that. I'm sorry, that's the only one I could think of. Like I'm not that well versed, despite being a Taurus moon, you know, like I do like my nice bougie things, I just can't afford them. So I don't know a lot of designer brands, but yeah, I'm a working class girl, okay? I don't know a lot of designer brands, but yeah, it's like sometimes people are shocked by the fact you haven't judged them like they thought you would initially or something like that. And I definitely think like with this Queen of Swords in reverse, it's giving me a very bitchy energy, and I don't want to use like gendered language. I mean, this could apply to any gender. Of course, you can get men who are bitchy, but I definitely think you have dealt with some toxic friendship circles and you have dealt with people being unnecessarily cruel about you, and I think they are shocked again that you would have never gone to that level. They have gone quite low in the past in terms of insulting you, in terms of being manipulative, in terms of being quite cutting, maybe spreading malicious rumors about you to other people or something like that, and just saying things that categorically are not true. And I'm not saying you will dismiss this as in like you won't stand up for yourself, because I think that you very much can. And maybe this is something that also shocks them, because maybe when you're pushed to your limit, you do really know how to assert yourself. But equally, I think it's like people have continually tried you. Like people will try you. They will try to push you to your limits to see how long it takes before you snap or something like that. And with this Queen of Swords, it's like I think you have dealt with people being quite nasty about you, and especially like, you know, if you were in a high school that was quite cliquey and people were unnecessarily mean, and if you were this attractive person that people were jealous of and people projected insecurities on, it could definitely be the case that, you know, like it shocks people that you aren't this sort of nasty, mean girl or guy that people are making you out to be. Like, I think people have spread unfair rumors about you, which just aren't rooted in reality. And people are shocked to learn that actually you, I think, are like the kindest and gentlest and sweetest soul. Not only are you like a hype woman, but with this Page of Cups, I actually feel like there is a certain level of innocence to you. And when I say innocence, I think it's not that you are naive in any way, but I think you do genuinely want to see the good in people. And I think people are shocked by how willing you are to still see the good in people, despite how certain people have treated you at points. So I feel like you are somebody who always gives people the benefit of the doubt before you jump to conclusions. And that is a luxury that not everybody has extended to you. And I honestly feel angry that people haven't extended you that luxury, because I feel like you are such a sweet and caring person. You can be a very nurturing person, and people don't always necessarily realize that. And again, it can be based off their own judgments. But I feel like, you know, if somebody is rude to you, I think you would sit there and say, like, oh, well, it's not about me. Like, maybe they're just having a bad day. And you would still show up in alignment with your values. You wouldn't just snap back for the sake of snapping back. I just think people are very shocked when they learn that the person they've been arguing with was their own brain. Like, people are here having an argument with themselves and they think that you're fighting with them, but you're really not. You're there giving them the benefit of the doubt with this Page of Cups. You're thinking like, oh, like maybe they had a bad day, I'll just let it slide. And you don't let it slide if somebody really pushes you to your absolute limit, but for the most part, when it's just too petty for you to care about, you'll be like, yeah, whatever, like I'm still going to show up in my most authentic energy. It doesn't really matter what this person says or believes about me. And I think that is the right way to be, powerful, because I don't think you're ever going to give somebody the privilege of letting you slip into behaviors that aren't in alignment with your true self. I really don't think you are. I often think your leadership abilities leave people surprised. So, you know, to give the example of you being a woman, if you are a woman who presents as very feminine, it could surprise people that in like a job, a work setting or something like that, you have this ability to shift easily into this leadership role. And I think it also surprises people that you have a lot of focus and discipline when it comes to setting goals for yourself. Like, maybe because you are so attractive, people assume that you rely financially on a partner or something like that. So I think it surprises them when they find out that actually the things you have achieved, you have very much cultivated this life for yourself. You are your own authority. You are the one taking charge and taking action, being in control of your own life. And I think this can also be quite intimidating to people in certain settings, maybe in like work settings or something. And again, if you do identify as a feminine, obviously we still deal with a lot of sexism, a lot of misogyny day to day. So I think maybe you could be the kind of person who, because of the way you present, people assume that all there is to you is good looks or something like that. And people are surprised when they find out that you have so much more to you. You have a very practical, logical, grounded mindset. You have a lot of intelligence to back up the claims that you're making. I also think that certain people are shocked, like when they get to know you more with this Three of Cups. I think you surprise people in the fact that you can really let loose and have a good time, and it's like they see you in a different light. So I don't know, maybe you play this one particular role of being in this Emperor energy when you're at work or something like that, and when you shift into like party mode or something, maybe you really let your hair down and you really go all out, like you are happy to stay out really late or something like that and just have a good time. Or maybe it's that because you are normally sort of quite reserved on the surface or something like that, or you don't open up easily, maybe when the drinks get flowing or something, you open up and you have all these really fun, crazy stories to tell, and people are surprised by all the things you have done, like all the things you have accomplished and all the stories you are now able to tell. And with this Lovers card as well, I think maybe people are surprised by how united with you they feel. So it could be that, you know, based on these preconceived notions, based on people's judgments, when they meet you, they think you are going to have one certain belief system, but actually they realize that they made a snap judgment about you and this isn't necessarily the case. So it could be that they realize that, you know, they are in harmony, they are in unity with you, and they are shocked by the fact that your beliefs align so well. They are surprised by the fact that the two of you have like similar opinions. Maybe they didn't expect that or something. It could also be that people are surprised about the person that you are with or something like that, like something about that situation surprises them. Now, this could be many things, but just to give one example, it might not necessarily be who the person is, but it could be like if people perceive you as somebody who relies on someone else financially, it could be that they are then surprised to learn that actually in your relationship, in your marriage, you are the breadwinner or something like that. Doesn't have to be that specific thing, but just something about the situation in terms of the person you're with that surprises people. It could also be something like, you know, if people perceive you because of your good looks as somebody who is superficial at first, it could be that they perceive your partner as like not being on your level aesthetics wise, and that surprises them because it shifts their view of what they previously thought about you. That is what I'm getting for you, pal 4. We are just going to close this reading by looking at one of the cards from the Moonology deck, so please bear with me and we'll have a look at what we pulled for you. Okay, pal 4, let's have a look. So we got emotions are running high, super moon. Okay, pal 4, so I think this definitely refers to, it could refer to your emotions, like your emotions are running high, and this could be the case if you feel as though people's bad attitudes towards you needlessly has kind of pushed you to the end of your tether. It could be that you are reaching that breaking point of feeling like, you know, I can't take people treating me like crap when there is no need to treat me that way. I have been nothing but nice and polite and gentle with them, and they are not giving me that same energy back. But I think this is encouraging you to, yes, like if you need to stick up for yourself, you should very much do that. But I think, you know, don't lose that sense of who you are in terms of your values, in terms of the way you want to approach other people. Don't argue if you know that that is something that's going to drain your energy, because ultimately people's judgments about you, it doesn't say anything about you. It's all on them. And I think you have learned through developing this self-trust and this self-worth that people's interpretation of you, their projection, it all comes from them, and you don't have to do anything to try and change that. You simply showing up to the world in the energy that you do by being this kind, compassionate, polite person, this person with good manners, this person who wouldn't stoop to the level of hurling petty insults if that is not in alignment with who you truly are. That is all you need to do, because ultimately emotions are running high, but it is not going to be this way forever. And I feel like if you were to stoop to someone's level in terms of getting involved with an argument that you don't need to get involved in, being a bit petty because you know that you are capable of it, you would then encourage that person to be like, right, well, I was right all along about Pal 4. Pal 4 is malicious, Pal 4 is bitchy because they've just said this to me. So instead, I think you taking the high road and acting in the way that you always do, with grace and with compassion for other people. You don't have to stay in a situation where, you know, people are putting you down if that is the case. Like, you can assert yourself, but all I'm saying is you don't have to stoop to their level. You don't have to be petty. You don't have to insult their appearance, even if somebody has insulted yours, because honestly, that says more about them than it ever does about you. And I think if they have insulted your appearance, it clearly comes from a place of jealousy, because you are a 10 out of 10 powerful. So just be aware that whilst emotions are running high, be mindful of the way you interact with the world. I think you already are quite mindful, but just be mindful of not acting in a way that you would potentially regret, because being petty is not you. I think you are too good for that. You have too much going for you. You are focused on your goals to the point where being petty just isn't on your priority list at all, nor should it be. So that is what I'm getting for you, Pal 4. I really hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did enjoy the reading, please let me know. Please like the video, please leave a comment, and if at all possible, please subscribe. All of that would mean the absolute world to me, and I would appreciate it so, so much. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.